Love the way that beat drops.
Woo! Yes.
What's
Hold
going
on,
on,
I got to pat down.
Got to pat down?
Yeah, I got to make sure my makeup's all right.
Okay.
You know, the lighting had me looking a little lighter than I am. You know, I'm down here in Miami, so I'm a little golden, but that light had me bright last week, so I got to tighten up,
You got to straighten yourself out.
That's right.
Welcome to the Shooting the Breeze Conversations with the DJ podcast. I'm yours truly, Eric Lee, and you are?
I am Lorenzo, Ice T to the Thomas, driving you home. Oh, I'm not on the radio. I'm sorry. Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. Hey, E, you sound like you're a little bit in a can.
In a can?
Yeah. You don't sound as warm as normal.
Must be the microphone.
Yeah. We didn't get a chance to do a little test before we went on, but you sound like a little bit in a can.
Okay, we'll try to figure this out as we go about.
Okay, cool. I'll let you know. All right, cool.
Yeah. So, welcome to the podcast. And of course, this is where we get a chance to talk to some of the people in the music industry, the entertainment industry, you name it. We're going to talk about it. Don't forget, if you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscription button as well as the notification button. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. We shooting the breeze. We got some folks. And of course, like we said, most of the time, the people that we put on here, personal friends. I'm excited, Lorenzo, about this one.
Yeah, you are extremely excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about this one. I'm excited about all my peoples, but you know.
Yeah. But you know what happens, man? It's like after we have a conversation with the conversation we had last week with Parrish, as we continue to do this show, we get more and more excited each and every week because we know that stories are going to be told, stories are going to be shared, and it just, with the way that the industry is today, it's very good to be able to relive I guess it's good to say the good old days. You know what I mean? And know that it was all about relationships back in the day, and we wish it could be the same way today, and it's just not the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to get right into it. The gentleman that I'm about to bring on worked at Arista Records. He worked for Deaf American, as well as Warner Brothers and a host of other labels, worked with a bunch of artists. Ladies and gentlemen, my man. Hold on, I got to bring him on the right way.
What's happening?
Hey, E, we couldn't hear it, E.
You can't hear
it? We didn't get the intro.
You didn't hear the intro?
He played.
Nah, it didn't play, man. So whatever's happening with your mic, I think it's has something to do with the connection with the board.
Okay, we'll figure it out. My man, Fat Thomi, what's going on?
What's happening, Ely? What's all going on, Lorenzo? Look,
what's happening?
I'm coming to see you. I fly out Monday, Sunday. I'll be in Florida because I'm about to open a country hip hop bar. I'm leading the charge for country hip hop. The redneck rappers.
Why you jumping the gun, dude? Did you not look at the show sheet?
Well, I didn't look at the show sheet. You know what? I do y'all like y'all used to do me when I come to the radio station and go, did you listen to the record? Nah,
man, we didn't have a chance to listen to it yet.
I didn't get a chance to listen
to it. Remember those days? No, but okay, but Eric, we'll follow the flow sheet, right? For now, but Fat, you definitely got to tell me a little bit about that. Country, hip hop?
Country rap. Yeah.
Country rap.
I'm down with the inventor. The guy who made this all possible. He created the genre. Lil Nas X is one of his children.
Okay, that's the genre that is Lil Nas X behind it.
No,
it has nothing to do with it. Okay,
nothing to do with it. This brother been doing country rap probably since 2007.
Is it as hot as Southern Soul?
Well, I can tell you this much. We've sold 1 million records hand to hand in the course of 1 year.
Wow.
So,
okay.
The genre definitely, I think, is bigger than hard to quantify.
Right.
Only because I've been on the road with them, and I've never been on the road with Southern Soul, so
okay.
I can't really tell. So
that's fair. That's fair.
People, the folk that are out there watching, see, this is what happens when you do shows with your friends. They just go all off script.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to build up to that.
Okay,
you know,
go ahead. Well, because you know why? I get excited when I get to go to Florida.
Right. As you should.
Here in Miami, I'm thinking, you know, and we coming out of winter, so my last few trips to Florida have been beautiful. You know,
right.
I'm get it in before it really get too hot. So I had to let him know I'm gonna be there. Now he's telling me he's in Orlando. I can listen to him in Orlando.
Right.
So that's just turning my ears on so I can check him out while I'm in the market.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both. I'm in Orlando and in Miami.
So I'll be in Palm City, which is like just north of Miami. I'm about 45 miles north of Miami.
Okay, that sounds good. We just definitely got to hit me up when you get down here.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like it's gonna be a fun time. Y'all can make me have to sneak down there.
Yeah, I thought he was coming for Jazz in the Gardens for a second because that's my phone has been ringing off the hook in reference to friends coming to town to attend Jazz in the Gardens this past weekend because Jill Scott's good to be here. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? Now that I know that makes it extra good. So I'll be hitting you up for tickets for Jazz and look like I'm gonna be in the Garden, y'all.
Right. He said I might have to change my itinerary now. Uh-oh. Go ahead, E.
Okay. No, man. Let's rock. Hey, well, you know, I guess everybody can tell we friends.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't see the show sheet, so you're gonna have to keep me in line here because I didn't read the syllabus as we would say in college. I have to
and don't jump to that either, okay?
Okay. I'm gonna just be quiet and wait on the question.
No, man, you know, we're gonna have some fun with this. Folks, this is my man, Fat Thomi. And Tommy's been in the industry. How long have you been in the industry? Because you're still in the industry.
So I'm working on a book right now, which is interesting because I look back and when I write the book, I found that I've been in the industry my whole life. So in 1979, I was living in New Haven, Connecticut, and I used to hang at WUNH at the radio station. That was my first experience with pulling carts. They were showing me about carts, and I used to grab the records, the DJs, because back then they were actually playing albums.
Right.
DJs would let me hang in the station. They go, pull this record. So I'll pull records and hand them to them. So when we moved from Connecticut to Martinsville, Virginia, I bought Sugar Hill. Rapper's Delight was my last record I bought in Connecticut before we left that summer. When I bought that record, I came down south and no one had it. You know, I moved to Martinsville. They were listening to QMG, was the radio out of Greensboro. They didn't have the record, so I was like a star in town. And then that became the theme of my life because I would go back to Connecticut for the summer, bring back records. So every year I had the dope mixtapes and the records. And I would always, like Skateland over Southside and Kirby Carmichael, I would show up with records and go, hey, I got this new record. And they would let me in the skate ring, you know, and they would play my records and I would take them back because they were my records. So
you got some folks that says Connecticut, we here, bro. Edwin Blackwell.
Edwin Blackwell, yes, brother, West Haven, yes. So I've been doing what became my job my entire life. You know what I'm saying? That was from the time I was 14, hanging at radio stations, and then constantly going to New York or to Connecticut, buying records, bringing them down south, and being the first ones with them, taking them to Kirby Carmichael and getting them played at Skateland, gaining access and entrance to events, being backstage. You know, these are things that I did just as a child for fun, and then it grew up and actually became my job. So if you say when I actually entered the industry, I would say I moved to Atlanta. I went to the Art Institute of Dallas. I was living in Dallas, and me and my first wife fell out. I got on an airplane, flew to Atlanta, transferred from the Art Institute of Dallas to the Art Institute of Atlanta. At that very moment, the way it was crazy is because this is only real dudes had cell phones. You're talking about there was maybe 100 in the whole country.
Right.
Call my man Greg Britt up and say, yo, I'm leaving my wife. I'm coming to Atlanta. He said, when? I said, I'm at the airport. You know, I'll be in Atlanta at like 4:00. So when I fly into town, he's on his way to do Soul Train because he's the background dancer for Damian Dame. So we're in the airport.
Wow. You said Damian Dame.
Yes. He gives me the key to his car in the key to his apartment and, scribble down the instructions on how I got to leave the airport and figure out how to get to Buford Highway before cell phones and GPS, So that in itself, as soon as I showed up there, I was at the Art Institute. He was dancing for Damien, and that put me right in the mix with LaFace. Vernon Slaughter was there. So I instantly started hanging around the label. I was instantly in. My cousin was the plug. My little brother, my cousin, we really ain't related at all, but we grew up in high school. So we've been calling each other brothers and cousins our whole life. But He was in the mix at LaFace at that very moment. So from the time I touched down in Atlanta, I was in the mix. I was right in it. I was running around with Damien and Dia. I knew Damien. I permed my hair.
I remember that.
I don't have any. Look, that's why it's gone now. I don't have no hair.
Hey, I'm a little short of a follicle or two myself.
Yeah. Fried, dyed, and laid to the side. You know how we used to do.
I would think it was 1992 because I started throwing parties in Atlanta. We had one of the hottest hip hop clubs, the Phoenix nightclub in Atlanta. It was owned by my homeboy's partner, Julius Klein. So them two together, Julius and him made a bet. They bet because the club at the time was a gay club. And my homeboy Greg said to Julius, who was a big time D-boy back then, he owned all the clubs. As quiet as it's kept, he owned Diamonds and Pearls. He owned Dion's 21. He owned them all. It was the Peachtree Entertainment Group.
Okay.
So my homeboy Greg says to Julius, I bet you I can make more money in one night than you make in the 3 nights that you do your gay night. And he said, well, how much you want to bet? So they put 20 stacks on it. And he blew up the club. We never looked back, Well, the grand opening was Mary J. Blige and Kid Capri. So we didn't have any problems. Prior to that, we had did Leaders of the New School. So the night we did Leaders of the New School is the night they lost their deal. Like they were in Atlanta when they found out they were going to lose their deal at the club. Like it was they were in town that night. And
Buster with him?
Yeah, Buster stayed. He stayed in Atlanta. He never left. But they lost their deal in Atlanta, and Buster never went back to New York.
Wow. Sean said, "What's up, fam?"
Oh, what's up? What's up? Yep, that's Roots. What's up, Roots?
Roots in the place. And we got stories of Roots we can't say. We can't talk about them all.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
We can't talk about
that. Leave here. We start telling them stories.
Yeah.
I got my own shadow crew. See, they have shadow governments. I have a shadow crew that has run through my entire life.
Man. So, look, man. We got some folks. You got some folks popping in. Sonia Harrison.
Oh yeah, you know my Sonya. Come on, man. Ely, you don't remember Sonya?
Your sister?
Yes.
Your sister? Oh God. We gotta put her on. Look, hey, if you're checking us out, of course we do this each and every week. It's mostly family when we do this thing anyway.
For real.
But it's shooting the breeze where we get a chance to talk to some industry folks, entertainment and the arts, the music, things of that nature. Got my man Fat Thomi. If you're on Facebook, definitely hit us up in the chat. Love to shout you out. Catch us if you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscription button as well as the notification button. So anytime we load up the show, you get a chance to check it out. Now, all right, Tommy, we talked about a little bit about your time in Atlanta. When did you come back to Richmond? Because when I met you, you're rocking a bandana with your perm.
Okay, so what happened was Julius Klein turned out to be one of the biggest drug dealers in Atlanta. It was estimated he was doing $1 million a week.
Okay.
We basically did the promotions for the nightclub. My homeboy Greg Britt had Nubian Entertainment. Okay. I was a partner in Nubian Entertainment, and we did all the promotions. So we got the hip hop club, and we were doing all the Leaders of the New School, Yo-Yo. We did Rakim. We did Teddy Riley's birthday party. We did the MCA Jack the Rapper party that had Jermaine, Rakim, and had these dudes from Boston. I can't remember. They had these big giant hockey shirts on. The first time I seen dudes show up with hockey shirts. So Julius is now going to get out of the drug business because we proved that we could do $1 million in the club. And he goes to Detroit and gets murdered. So then he gets murdered. Fred Tokars, who was a judge, prosecuting attorney turned judge turned criminal defense attorney. He falls in love with a stripper from Magic City. Then gets her killed. She's murdered, and they're trying to pin it on the other partner. So Julius had a partner, Dre. Dre was his partner. So Julius was running the clubs, and Dre was running the streets, bringing the money in to the club. So the club was, I guess, originally going to clean money, but it started making too much money. So Julius was going to get out of the game, but he got killed. When he got killed, I guess there became a struggle. I just noticed that people were getting killed and shot and arrested around me at a high click. So,
Tommy, you did say you're writing the book. You did say you're writing the book, right?
Yes.
You did say that. Okay.
So
that's right. I was trying to think. The almighty RSO. I remember that. Benzino and them out of Boston. Yeah. Thank you so much, Edwin. Thank you.
He said Benzino and the almighty.
So
I was sitting here wrecking my brain trying to remember the name of that group.
Somebody tried to steal their mixer. So it like the club was set off. Like it was all and I remember we were telling Rakim, let's go out the back door. And they said, which way you going? I said, well, I'm in the front, I'm going that way. So Rakim had his son with him. He put his son on his shoulders and he said, we New York, we mashed into the front. So we all lined up, because when back in the day when the club jump off, you run to your clique. Like I'm not looking for security, I'm looking for my people. So we all got there and we got Rakim and we mashed out the front door. So when Julius got killed, they started claiming stuff. Julius had bought us a van. So we were at Diamonds and Pearls one night, and they came and said they towing the van. So me and Greg run outside, and it's a cop there. He take his hat and turn it to the pack, and he say, this ain't on no cop shit. You know what time it is. It was like, man, but our stuff in the van. And, he said, well, you're going to get all your stuff back. And we did. We got all our stuff back. The family, once our guy died, the family repossessed all of our trinkets, that we had. They were still in the ownership of the club. So when that happened, I just was like, I'm out of here. This is way, I got police that ain't police.
Right.
That got a little deep for me. So I decided to head. Actually, and at the same time, my friend Lisa Montgomery was working at the Jefferson, and she was getting married, and she told me she had a friend who was big time at BMG. He was moving to Richmond. Ed Klonick moved to Richmond to service Circuit City, because Circuit City at that time was the largest purchaser of music.
Right.
BMG sent a person to just manage the Circuit City account. Okay. So I went to Richmond, went to her wedding. She introduced him to me. He told me he'd give me an internship. So I called Atlanta and said, I'm not coming back. I got an internship with BMG. I'm going to stay here and get down with BMG. And so
that's how you got back to Richmond.
Yep, I already had a little bit of because I was with LaFace. I was already familiar with going to the BMG office because they were all over there together. So I already kind of knew a little bit about the record industry, but not much. So I came to do an internship.
Fat Tom, what year was that when you came back to Richmond, Fat Tommy?
I'm gonna say it probably was 93.
Okay.
92.
Okay.
The club, because the club, I think it was October. So yeah, it was December or November. It was early 93.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when I left. I was in Norfolk at the time when you came back to Richmond.
Wow.
Yeah, I was at Wowie.
Okay, so
yeah,
the Buddha Brothers.
Yep, down there. Yep, with the Buddha. KJ Holiday, rest in peace. Yep, okay. Chase, rest in peace. Candy Eastman, who's now in Houston. Steve Crumley was the program director. Yep. Stan Verrett was doing mornings, who is now on ESPN.
Yeah,
he's on ESPN LA. So you see him late night. That's my boy, my dog, and of course DJ Heart Attack. You can't forget Heart Attack. You had. I know you had quite a few discussions with Heart Attack.
Yes,
yes.
Yes, sir.
You had to talk to Heart Attack too, without a doubt. But yes, the Buddha Brothers.
So I came to Richmond, and I remember that. I guess it would have been whatever year it was. The following summer was probably my biggest summer of life that summer, because that summer, the Wu-Tang Clan, Biggie, and Outkast all dropped. Well, Outkast dropped that. They came out on the Christmas album. So when I got back home, because I came from Atlanta, I knew Outkast was a thing. Right. They didn't have any music out, but I was already in the mix. So I was begging to work Outkast records. Arista didn't even know who Outkast was.
Right.
So then the Face drops the Christmas album. Players Ball is on the Christmas album. I get the Christmas album and I call Jeff and I say, I got to work the record. And Jeff says, look, we already got a dude in Virginia. He ain't doing nothing. Don't know who he is. I still don't know the dude's name. He said, take this record, Players Ball. If you can make something happen with it, I'll hire you. I'll give you a check. And when we come back.
Wow.
So this is Thanksgiving. I go and holler at Eric Lee because I had met Eric Lee.
And Eric let them know what your position was at the time.
I was
nobody.
No, he's talking about me.
No, Eric. Eric needs to let people. Yeah.
Eric was the music director.
That's right.
Eric was the music director.
I decided what played and what wasn't playing.
From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., I think Eric had control of the station. I think Aaron locked it down from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I think Eric, I don't know if that was official or unofficial.
That is very.
That's funny.
That is very, very funny. That is funny. Because we music directors know how much power we had after 6 p.m., especially during that time, because we knew the hip hop better than most.
Yes, there was
what I mean?
There was almost no hip hop in the daytime. You're talking most stations in the country didn't even play hip hop in the daytime
until 6 p.m.
Until 6 p.m. Right.
6 p.m.
Tommy, say that one more time so that our audience
in the country did not play hip hop before it was all day party. 6 p.m. passed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I went to see Eric because I had met Eric. I had came up here with the Dame record.
I remember that.
We were actually, you know why I stopped in Richmond? We were on our way to New York. To Little John was our DJ at the Phoenix. The Little John. Yes, that one. Little John was the DJ and he needed records. Right. Julius gave us, I want to say, $2,000 to go to New York to buy records.
Okay.
So, me, Greg, Little John, LaTanya, and I think it was 5 of us all get in the van. We go to New York. We stop in Richmond, of course. I holler at Eric, drop the Damien and Dia record off, meet him for the first time. So now we go to New York, we come back. Julius dies. I come back to Virginia and remember that I met Eric Lee.
What?
I talked to Eric Lee, and Eric plays the record. He goes crazy. When they came back after the Christmas break, you're talking January, Richmond, not Atlanta, Richmond was leading the nation in spins.
Yeah.
Whatever they want. Outkast was broke in Richmond, Virginia.
Say it again.
Eric Lee broke Outkast.
I tell people in Atlanta, they're like, no, you didn't. I was like,
Eric Lee the record was in regular rotation. Before they went they hadn't even went for. I didn't even know nothing about ads. Okay, so and when Jeff and them come back, I'm like a hero. They were like, oh my God, So then the record ends up doing so well that I don't even get a plaque, mind you. I get my plaque 20 years later.
Wow.
They said the dude who they hired for the record, even though they know he didn't do anything, he still had to, he was in the system. Jeff said, we're going to give him the record. We know he didn't do nothing. He's on his way out. Just probably because these were older dudes. I remember.
You don't remember his name?
I don't.
What was the label?
Arista. So
you got your old Rolodex behind you, Ely?
No.
The first person that really guided me, I give credit to Eric Lee and this brother named Philip. He was
Daniels?
Out of North Carolina.
Okay.
He was at Arista. He was an Arista rep. And I remember one time I went to decorate an event. I was on the street team for Arista. They told me to go to Greensboro and cover this 102 Jams event. So I outcasted it out. Like it was outcast everywhere. Well, SOS, I believe, was the band, was signed to Arista at the time. And right. Philip Van Poel, I can't remember Philip's name, but Philip was the rep for Arista in North Carolina.
Okay.
He got mad at me. Well, he didn't get mad. He said most people will get mad because the artist SOS is there. There's no SOS posters. It's all Outkast out. They're both on the same label. I got a million posters with Outkast, and I done gave out cassettes, and I'm really flooding the area with Outkast. And he said, now, I know you don't know this. That's why I love Philip. He didn't cuss me out. He said, I know you don't know this, but I have SOS here. They're signed to Arista. So now they're going to question what I'm doing. He said, I really don't care because I designed a burger for McDonald's. I'm quitting. I got this special recipe for this burger that I'm introducing, and McDonald's is going to sell this burger, and I'm quitting. I'm out of here. He said, but I'm going to try to give you as much knowledge before I go. Okay. The biggest thing that he did for me was tell me to join the Black Programmers Coalition in North Carolina. With Cy Young. I ended up meeting Cy Young.
Okay.
And they taught me so much about the business of music. Now, I credit Eric because when I was working the records, they were calling me and I was getting spins, on most every record. So Eric pulled me to the side and he said, Tom, how much they paying? And I told him, he said, man, that ain't enough. This is how it works. You should be getting $5,000, man. If they're not giving you $5,000, you need to stop, slow down, do something. So once I did that, they were paying us like $300. So I started getting $1,200 a record for 4 weeks. And then I got up to $2,500. And I remember Jeff called me and said, Tommy, you're using up. What I did was this. I learned this in the military. You can never ask for a $5. Dudes, the joke on the base was you can't never borrow $5 from nobody, but everybody will loan you $2. So the lesson is ask everybody for $2. You know what I'm saying? $2, ask them for 2 today and 3 tomorrow, and you still got 5. So I applied that to Arista. They would never want to pay $2,000 invoices, but they would pay $1,000 invoices. So everything I did, I would invoice them $1,000. They would cut the checks until the quarter ended. When the quarter ended, Jeff said that I was taking up 2/3 of his budget. 2/3 of the budget was going to Richmond. How am I justifying it? So that's why I added Raleigh, Greensboro, Charlotte, and Norfolk. So then I went and met all the people in all the markets. I went to Greensboro first because I was from Martinsville. I had lived a year in Martinsville. So understanding QMG was not a problem. I had family in Greensboro. I got to Greensboro. From Greensboro, I went to Raleigh first, then to Greensboro, then to Charlotte. Hardy Marty was down in Charlotte and all these other people. And then Polo, my man Polo, DJ Polo, was working at Raleigh and Greensboro and Fayetteville. He was doing mixes. So then when he told me that, I started going to all the stations that he was doing mixes for. Right. So then I met Lou Rosenfield that owned Willie's Records.
Willie's Records and Tapes.
So Lou said he was partners with the Wiz. And the Wiz came all the way to DC. They split up. Lou was going to have from Virginia to Georgia. He had in North Carolina, he ended in Georgia. So Lou said to me, I'm running around with Ed and I'm learning the whole game of putting up records, and he says, I'm going to put all the moms and pops out of business. He said this. He looked at me and said, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but this is what's going to happen. I opened up all my stores within 1 block of the hottest record store. He said, and the reason I can do that is because I buy direct. They have to buy from a one-stop. They pay more. They buy the record for more than I have to sell the record for. So when he would have sales, he would sell the record for $6.99 and $7.99, but the one stop you were paying $7. So that's how he told me he was going to run all of the Black record businesses out of business. I told all of them, and he didn't.
Give him applause. Give him a round of applause for that.
You can call Artie. You can call Mr. Carrington. You can call Churchill.
Oh my goodness!
I told on him.
I told him all. I said, "Yo, he said he gonna run y'all out of business." So what I started doing to subsidize mom and pop record stores is I would take all of my promo material and sell it to the record stores. I was making more money or just as much money selling the product that they gave me to the record stores. So they would come with these stickers on. They had not
what he said all the time.
They had not for sale stickers on the cassettes over top of the barcode. Right. I would take an X-Acto knife because I was in the military. Now I was in the military. The military taught me to make IDs. You know, I got a top secret clearance. I know how to make documents.
Damn.
I take an X-Acto.
Welcome to Shooting the Breeze.
Damn.
I take an X-Acto knife and cut around the plastic so that I could just peel the not for sale off so that they could have the barcode. And then I sold it, you know, to the stores.
Damn.
And Lou found out I was doing that, and Lou said, look, they can't pay you what I can pay you. I'll tell you what I'll do. Bring it all to me. Because they're only going to want Biggie. They're only going to want Monica. But, you know, no slice to As Yet. But records like As Yet, Chino Excel, nobody's really buying them. But Lou was saying, bring it all. If you bring me all of it, I'll buy it all. And I'll pay more than them. Okay. Of course, I didn't bring it all to him. Right. I bought a good portion of it, but I still tried to keep the black stores afloat because this is what I learned quickly. Lou had SoundScan. None of them didn't. You know, they only put SoundScan in the stores that bought direct.
Right.
This is what I learned.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
To have a record store, to buy direct, you had to have a $1 million credit line with each of the majors. There was 5 majors back then. So to open a record store, you essentially needed $5 million. Now, Willie's would get shipped all the music and then be able to return. You know, they would have some records were 100% return, some records were 80% return, some records were 40% return. So what he didn't sell, he could ship back.
Right.
So Lou could order every record. So his store had every record imaginable. Mr. Carrington, Artie, the Phono Booth, Churchill Records, they had to be right. They had to say, Biggie's gonna hit, give me that one. You know, they can't afford to have records that aren't on the shelves.
Right.
So that was problematic. So now I'm looking at they have to be right, and they're not. Lou gets all the records, and here's what really did it for me when I knew that they couldn't win. Because the distributor paid for Willie's commercials to promote the artist.
Right.
So Lou now is on the radio promoting records and having sales. Carringtons can't afford to run commercials. Artie and them, they can't afford. Well, even if they ran them, they would have to pay for them. Lou is not paying for commercials.
That's called a time buy.
The record company is promoting the artist. So now he's getting free commercials.
Right.
He's getting free product, and he gets to return what doesn't sell. Like, how do we win? So I quickly said, he's going to North Carolina. I got down with Lou, and everywhere he went, I went. Right. So when he opened up right next to Shazada, and I told her, if you would have talked to Shazada Music, I said, look, Lou coming. He in Raleigh now. He going to Greensboro. He coming to Charlotte. You know, your time, you got to get it. You got to figure out how to control the market before he gets there. So now, here's how they really hurt us. They wouldn't take artists to black stores. If you call anybody, if you call Mr. Carrington, you call Shazada's, I'm one of the few cats that still took the artist, even though it's not on the list. Like, why would you take him to Carrington's when he ain't SoundScan? Why would you take him to Angie's Records? They're not SoundScan. They want you to take the artist to the SoundScan so they can affect sales.
Right.
So
and affect position on Billboard.
Right. So I had to squeeze black record stores on the side. This is what I like, my side hustle. I got to run them over there, and they're not giving me nothing. You know, Artie is not paying me to bring the artist there. You know, you got other cats that are saying, if you bring the artist here, you know, I'm going to look out for you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know if they even do in stores anymore.
As they say in the industry, they would kiss you. You know, I'm going to kiss you if you bring them through here, you know, which meant I'm going to get an envelope. So I bring him here, I get an envelope. I bring him to Artie I'm not picking on Artie. He stands out to me as the memory. I remember him the most. But
right. I don't want to look. I don't need it. I don't need him coming calling me.
No.
Artie's my dude.
Yeah, Artie was the man in Richmond. He was the man. That's why you remember him. He ran things. Yeah. With that mom and pop.
And Artie's the one who put me up on game.
Right.
Artie's the one who's telling me they're destroying us. He's the one pulling my black card every chance. Like, you got to do this. You got to, he guilted me into giving him, not guilted me. He informed me so that I could make a conscious decision.
Right.
So I knew if I didn't bring them there, I'm doing a disservice to my people.
Right.
In the story.
Right.
And the other thing becomes this. I hung in the clubs. Like, I was a nightclub dude. So I needed credibility amongst my people. You know what I'm saying? For where I got down at, I needed Artie. When you in Churchill, you need to know a few people. When you over North Side, over there on Brooklyn Park with Artie, you better know somebody. Especially in the early 90s. We talking crack is at an all-time high. Richmond is leading the nation in murders. And I'm running around in the hoodest of the hoods. So, I know everybody. I know the dope dealers. I know the DJs. I know the club owners. I'm getting down with Steve Brand. So now I'm plugged into everywhere. And not because I was in the record business. I was already, all of these people, like Ely and all them, I was meeting them by just being in the streets, really. So I knew a lot of these dudes. And now, again, my job became what I was already doing. I was already in the club 4 nights a week. I was already talking to DJs. If it wasn't nothing but play this record because I like it. You know what I'm saying? It was always that. So when my job became carrying records and toting them, it was just easy for me. It was a natural transition.
We got another one of your Connecticut brothers just chimed in. Daryl Huckabee.
Okay, now, I know y'all know Huck, right?
Yeah.
Of course you know Huck.
Yeah. We're working through the decade of the 90s. We're still in the early 90s right now. So
we're still in the 90s. Hey, so you live on the same street with Huck?
Wait, this is what's crazy. Huck went to school with my sister. They both went to Hopkins. They were like the Bel Air kids. We lived in West Haven. We went to Carrigan and the West Haven High. They went to Hopkins private school. But all while Huck was at the radio station and I was at Ariston Warner Brothers, I never knew. It wasn't until I quit working at the record company that I realized that Daryl was the program director in DC. Because DC was in my market. You know what I'm saying? DC, I had no reason to go to DC. Craig Davis had DC on lock.
Yes, he did.
When I got out of,
he's going to be on the show.
When I left Arista, I started my own record label, but I went up there and it was Huck, and they said, the dude that's here is from New Haven, and they said his name was Huck, and I was like, Daryl Huckabee, he ain't from New Haven, he from West Haven, right?
you found him out.
They were telling me that a dude was from New Haven. I said, nah, I know a dude. I think he's from West Haven. So then they called him, say he's from West Haven. I said, yeah. I said, tell him. They called me Little Tommy Harrison because I was real. I'm 5'9", 130 pounds in the 12th grade. So in the 7th grade, when I left Connecticut, I probably was 5'3", 80 pounds. So everyone, the girls, I remember, Latoya, for those of you from West Haven, you'll remember this. 2 girls lived on the street, they used to call me Titty Lift because I only came up to this high. So they would run around. That's what the girls on the street, that was their nickname for me. I was Titty Lift. That's
what was the name again? What was the name again?
Oh, God.
So that was me.
Dude. They called you what?
Titty Lift. That's how tall I was.
Okay.
I know how tall I was in the 7th grade. So you imagine if a girl is 5'7" or 5'5", I only came up to her breast.
He would lift the titty. He would lift the titty up. That's right.
You got to remember they wore stacked shoes. So if she was 5'3", she probably was 5'7".
Wow.
Because the stacked shoes, you remember the shoes back then.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You are comedy gold.
This is my real life.
I know, but I can't wait for the book to come out. So, all right, we got to get you to your first record label.
Well, wait. I gotta tell you how I got there.
No, we got. Where are you? What year are you right now? Where are you talking?
I'm
Where are
right
you talking?
now in the summer of 1994.
Okay.
These are the records. This is how it happened. I worked award tour. Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders. Return of the Boom Bap, KRS.
Yeah,
you got the chat line cracking up, dude. You got the chat line cracking up.
The Wu-Tang drops.
Yes.
So the Wu-Tang comes to Richmond with the Alcoholics and Biggie. Wu-Tang is Richmond, Alcoholics, Biggie. Biggie leaves because he has to do a DJ Screw party. So they take him off the tour. So I never get to get down with Biggie. He leaves. The Wu-Tang is there, and Ed Klonick is a white dude from, I think, Hawaii. He's like 5'5", maybe 5'6", small dude. He calls me up and he says, Tommy, it's 20 of the most intimidating black guys I ever seen. I can't do this. He said, look, they're just too intimidating for me. Will you come and do the run without me? Look, meet me at Piccadilly. I'll pay for their lunch.
Piccadilly.
And then you know the run. Take them to Willie's, take them everywhere you're supposed to go, and I'll look out for you.
So you hold on. So you got the Wu. It's the Wu-Tang Clan, but the white guy is intimidated. So he's asking you to make the run because he don't want to be involved right now.
Well, think about this. Think about a white dude that's smaller than me.
Okay.
With the Wu-Tang Clan and the Alcoholics in a 17-passenger van.
Oh my God, yeah, that could be an intimidating thing.
So he just and I don't know if it was first. You got to also remember this. These is New Yorkers.
Right.
Word up.
I'm sure it was weeded up in that thing real good.
Staten Island.
Normal people. This is the Wu-Tang Clan and the Alcoholics. So you got Compton's finest with Staten Island's finest in a van with a white dude who really he can't hold it together. Well, I think he just didn't want to deal with it. Like it was not gonna, they probably because I remember when the Locks came to town, I brought him to King's Dominion and Ed, not different Ed, was mad because he was yelling at the Locks, so they took the walkie-talkies from him. And they didn't steal them, they shoved them down in the seats of the vehicles they were using for transportation. And Ed called me, was like, Tom, the guy stole the walkie-talkies. I don't know why they would steal them. They can't use them. It only works with our system. Could you do that? So I call up Jadakiss and I say, man, dude said y'all stole the walkie-talkies. I know y'all ain't stealing the walkie. He said, Tommy, we ain't stealing them. He was talking slick to us, so we shoved them down in the seats. They inside, just stick your hand in the back seats, they in there.
Right.
I said, okay. So I don't necessarily think that they were anything other than rambunctious young dudes in the 90s. So
right.
I pick up the Wu. We do Steve Branch Club that night, the Alcoholics.
Ivory's Uptown Lounge.
And we got to have Steve on because in every city there is an iconic club that all the people go to. And in Richmond, Virginia, in order to get your chops, you had to go by Ivory's.
Ivory's Uptown Lounge. College night. That was Tuesday night. Oh my goodness. I would leave there and then have to do my show. I would leave the club because I did overnights at the time. So I had to leave the club and go straight on the air. Crazy.
I love the Ivory's, but I saw In Vogue at the Polo Bay.
At the Polo Bay Lounge.
Polo Bay. So
at the Polo Bay. At the Polo Bay.
Was
See
a
you
little more ratchet
tomorrow.
At
the Polo Bay.
Yeah, it was a little more ratchet. The night I saw them.
Hey, that was my spot.
Look,
Polo Bay.
The Polo Bay. In Vogue was there.
Willie Poe. Willie Poe.
Yes.
They snatched the girl's weave off, and the whole crowd started going, weave, 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 weave. Like they was fighting. Two girls was fighting in the parking lot, and she ripped her weave out, and the whole crowd started chanting weave. That was my last night over there. I said, they too ratchet for me over there.
Ely, the pictures that we have with In Vogue, was that from, that's at the Richmond Coliseum, right?
Richmond Coliseum. That's the MC Hammer was Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. Okay. All right. I remember In Vogue coming to Polo Bay, but I don't have any pictures from that.
Right.
Yeah, but I remember that. I do remember that.
So
I think I hosted that night.
The summer of '94, my records came in this order. The Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, no, I didn't host that.
It came in the order of Flavor in Your Ear, Protect Your Neck.
Mm-hmm.
They just invited Steve Branch to the line.
Come on, Steve.
Come on, Steve. Come on, Steve.
We're not going to get out of the 90s.
Okay.
It was Tribe Called Quest.
Mm-hmm.
All of these records was that summer. Tribe Called Quest,
Right.
KRS-One, Outkast, the Wu-Tang Clan, Biggie, and Craig Mack. Not to forget TLC. We only talking hip hop, so I'll leave TLC out of the equation.
No, no, brother. Your legacy is your legacy. We are celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and It's crazy because as you think about it, Tom. We're talking about a whole lot. It's 50 years of hip hop. Do you ever think about what your contribution was to it? Because I really don't think about it, and it's funny because when you say, "Well, Eric broke Outkast for the entire country,"
right?
To think that I'm a part of the process. Lorenzo's a part of the process. You are a part of the process of what some of the largest hip hop artists and the largest artists that people gravitate to, the things we did in the early 90s or at the beginning of our careers that helped launch and propel these people into stardom.
Right.
You ever think about that?
Right. And Tommy, let me intervene for a second. Like you said earlier, this was the time where hip hop wasn't played on the radio
until after 6
o'clock. So you had people like me and Eric, and you mentioned the Buddha Brothers, and you can't forget El Bravador in Richmond. You know what they did there, because we were fighting the Z-Rock crew. Thank you so much. We were fighting with the PDs like, yo, no, we need to play Public Enemy. No, I need to play KRS-One. Okay, all right. So that's when I had my own show on Saturday nights to break those records, because they didn't know the music. They didn't understand it. So like Eric was saying, we were there during the time where they thought hip hop was going to be a fad, and we were rebels and revolutionaries. But like, listen, no, this song is going to be around forever. And then me, originally from New York, growing up right across the street from Rocksteady Park, growing up there and being at Harlem World and seeing groups like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and Cold Crush when I was younger, seeing this birth of this genre of music from my hometown, being able to now go to Richmond, Virginia, and share with my experiences, and then be on the radio, be able to break this music and kick in the doors. I mean, yes, we have contributed. So I know you have to sit back and say, hey, you know what? When you think about 50 years of hip hop, I have helped a great deal as well.
When I look at it, the thing I wouldn't say I regret the most, but I worked so hard, I never took pictures. Right. So
that was the first thing I asked you, where the pictures at, man?
You can't find a picture of me, because here's the thing. I was with the artists all day long, and everybody's asking them for pictures, and so my connection to them was so close. Like I've been with Outkast, I've been with Biggie probably 16 dates. The Wu-Tang, there's not a picture with me and them. Right. They got pictures, and I had pictures of them, but I never was in the picture because I was literally always working. Like to me, it was a job, and I was trying to get through my job. I'm as tired as them. I'm not trying to stop and take a picture because I'm doing the run. I'm doing the retail run. I'm doing the radio run. I'm right there at Ivory's with them when they go to the club. Then I'm leaving and going either to the beach or the Raleigh with them, because I would do the Raleigh, the Greensboro, the Charlotte. So I'm going on the road for 3 days. I'm not really trying to take pictures with them. You know, I'm really Also,
and you didn't want to look. You ain't a groupie either.
Well, yeah, I was going to say I'm also not trying to be identified as a groupie, so they're more comfortable with me because I'm not really trying to take. So we had a different relationship because I never asked them for a picture. If you talk to all of them, I don't have no pictures with them while I was working. None of them.
That was the first thing I asked him. He said, "Tell me where the pictures at." And he sent me a picture of himself. I said, "No, with the artist." He said, "Yeah, I didn't take pictures." And that was hard for me to believe.
In the Air Force. Look, I carried a camera for 4 years in high school and for 4 years in the Air Force, and I don't have one picture. You know what I have pictures of? I should have pulled up. I got pictures of my displays. I did awesome Wu-Tang like cutouts. Like the reason Willie loved me is because I could get the front window and really not just put up a poster. I would really take my time. So Lou started giving me the window of choice. So what I would do is I would strategically pick a window that was hard for me. Like if Jay-Z came out, I would wait till they do the Jay-Z display, and then I would go to Willie's and take the Jay-Z window. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever's the hottest artist or thought to be competition, I would wait until because they don't live in Richmond, so they're gonna do their display and be gone. I'm gonna go and take it down and put up my display.
Okay, hey, look here, man. I'm gonna sidetrack the conversation for a quick second because something just hit me as you talked about being a cameraman in the military. Can you quickly talk about the time the helicopter was turned off on purpose?
Man, so they turn off.
So now you can tell how long I've known you.
So you can land a helicopter with the engine down. So they have to do that in training school, and I have to film it. So they cut it off, and you hit the ground at about 20 miles an hour. But it's a very crazy because the whole thing starts spinning, and it's like you're falling out of the sky. A controlled fall, but you're falling. And I'm filming, and I'm not a pilot, so I'm not comprehending this in real time. In real time, I'm scared to death. In real time, I'm paranoid. They're laughing. It's funny to them when we hit the ground. It's never funny to me. I had a lot of experiences that were not funny to me. That they did in the military.
I just thought about it. There
were a lot of pranks going on in the military in the 80s. Like we did a lot. We used to jump out of the window into snow drifts. The second floor window. Everybody on my dorm floor would take a shot, drink a beer, and jump out the window into a snow drift. So these are crazy things that we did in the military.
I just thought about it because I remember us having that conversation. And we can get back to the music industry, but first, let everybody know that if you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit the like button. Feel free to make a comment in the comment section. We want to shout you out, as well as if you're on YouTube, hit the subscription button. I tell you, this content is hilarious, as well as hit the notification button. Shout out to my man, Sam Edwards. That's right. I played wide receiver for the Power 92 flag football team.
I remember that.
Hey, man, I played little football in high school, little flag football. Actually, I played for Wowie, too.
Yeah.
The Lorenzo squad.
That's right.
I used to come to Norfolk to play.
Yeah, we had our team finished 24th in the state.
Hold on.
We won 1 year. Yeah.
We won.
We're pretty good.
Hey, we won the state championship. We were runner-up, national champions. But I ain't gonna talk about that. No. Anyway, let's get back to the music. What's going on? What else you got going on, Tommy?
Well, that same time, so KRS-One comes to town.
Boom.
He's at Roots' club on Hull Street. It was called Image. He was at Image. Right. So what happens is Biggie's coming to town on a promo date. Okay. Well, Kathy Hughes determines that Black radio is no longer doing promo dates because of this whole payola thing, So promo dates are ended. So they got Biggie scheduled to come to town. Biggie's here. Aaron can't do anything with him because they're not doing promo dates. They call me. Jeff House calls me up and says, "Look, we need to put Biggie someplace." So I go see Roots over at Image and say, "Yo, I got Biggie coming on Friday. Can we do him here?" And he said, "This ain't big enough." He said, "Come on, take a ride." We rode to Petersburg, and went to 24
South Union.
Magic City. 24 South Union.
Yes.
And for the folks in Atlanta, we had a Magic City in Petersburg, Virginia.
That's right. It was called 24.
But we didn't have the entertainment that they had.
Yeah,
but well, wait a minute. Hold on now. We had when Roots and when my family took over the running of the club, and by my family, it's my family that not just my biological, but my family. Right. They took over Magic City, and it became Flavors. So all those shows. So you talk first. I got Biggie for $700. That was it. Arista said, "Give him $7." He said, "Look," because they gave him to me for free, but they said, "Look, he ain't gonna do it unless you have a contract. So I'm about to send you a contract that says you paid for Biggie, $700. So the reason I love Biggie, this is why I absolutely love Biggie. Biggie came and said him and Harv Pierre was in town. And Harv said,
Pierre. Okay.
Biggie gets booked, he's getting $10,000. I was like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. The label, this how they paying me. They told me, I get the date. So Biggie looks at me and he goes, "Look, go in there and get your money. because I'm only doing one song and he ain't gonna pay you. If you're not gonna get paid if you don't get your money before I get on that stage. He said, because I'm getting ready to shit on the whole club, you know. So, I give him my money. Biggie goes out there and says, look, they trying to get me to perform for free. I don't perform for free, but I got to
put it up. I got to put it up.
He does the one song, he drops the mic, and then he leaves, and then he doesn't leave the club. He leaves, and they set up this chair, and that's when I knew Biggie was special, because I watched girls create a line of nothing less than 100 people, take a swig of Hennessy. He'll take a swig, and then they wanted to kiss him and take a picture. They all got a line. I watched them. Take a swig, kiss him straight out the bottle. I'm talking these girls straight out the bottle. They drinking right out the bottle with Biggie, and all until he got all the pictures done.
We're going to talk about Biggie a little later.
That's a hot shot, E. That's a hot shot, E.
Yeah, they said I look like the lost member of Jodeci.
Yeah. need to put it on the T-shirt.
Where was y'all at? It looked like a cross burning in the background. Is that a cross over on the left burning in the background?
Hey, this is the Richmond Center. It was Big L. It was Big, and it was Craig. This is before Big L died, of course.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
We did this at the Richmond Center, but I got to Craig my T-shirt on under it.
Oh, you sure do? Yeah.
I got to Craig my T-shirt on under it. Said I looked like the lost member of Jodeci. One of my boys here in Atlanta, Eugene, he actually runs diversity at the Atlanta Braves. He said, man, I saw that picture. You're like the lost member of Jodeci. Shout out to Will Harris. He says he's loving the show.
DJ Wonder Will.
Wonder Will, loving the show. Shout out to my man,
Will. I heard
Anderson.
He just got a job as a general manager at the radio. So shout out to Will. Congratulations.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Craig Anderson for checking in on us. We love you too, bro. In addition to that, you said Will did what now?
General manager, WVST.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe I ain't supposed to say that. It's not until the 25th, I heard. So, yeah.
You didn't already said it. You didn't already said it.
I'm probably going to say a lot.
We're going to highlight you for that one. We're going to highlight you for that. We're going to highlight you for that. So where we at now?
From the day we did the Biggie show, me and Roots have been lifelong buddies since that. But we took flavors. Right. I mean, we were at that time, I would say next to the tunnel, we was the biggest hip hop thing around. Like from here to New York, there was nothing. I mean, we did everybody. Jay-Z, we did Trick Daddy. Trick Daddy came in the club one night and thought it was funny to light a firecracker and hold it to the microphone. They thought they were shooting, and everybody, 1,000 people was in the streets in a matter of seconds. And so we went ahead and just closed the club because the show was over. And the fastest the club ever been cleaned up, but Trick Daddy lit a firecracker on stage and thought that was funny. Like,
you want to talk about the Brat?
Oh man, the Brat. The Brat came to Petersburg, Virginia. Everybody that was there will remember it. So I always say this. In terms of artistry, I don't think Jermaine's artists were the best. Because I had Criss Cross in Atlanta, and he wouldn't let them rap. When they were at, we had Ice Cube was there that night. The same night of the Mighty RSO, Rakim, Shabba Ranks, and Criss Cross goes on stage and just says hey and waves to the crowd. So it was questionable to me if they could rap.
Right.
Brat comes to Petersburg, Virginia, forgets her lines. People are hurling pennies at her. She can't even stay on stage. It's so bad. I have to pull her off stage. So now she decides to cuss a girl out in the audience. The girl that she cussed out was the wrong one. Now I got to get her out the club. I get her out the club and shout out to Ed. He was the police officer. He said, look, Tommy, I can hold him for about 10 minutes. Because, she's staying at the Marriott in Richmond. So I got to go and get her to the room and get her out before these girls. I'm like, get your stuff and get out of here. We got to leave. Like, you don't know who you was just messing with. We take her to D.C. that night. I mean, she literally had to leave town. And as we're pulling away in the limo, I see the girls pulling in that roundabout into the Marriott looking for her. Like, they knew all our artists stayed at the Marriott. They was coming for her, but she literally was a horrible rapper. I always say that. And then I say, don't take my word for it. She did a BET Awards or something with Stevie Wonder was playing. And Stevie Wonder says, rap, Brat. And she never says nothing.
Okay. So since we talk about flavors, I mean, we're not gonna call out the artists. I don't even know if you were there. You probably were. Remember, there was a hip hop artist that was supposed to perform, but he overnighted FedEx some weed to the club. Yes. Don't call it out.
Yeah, why not? It's public record.
Okay, it's public record.
It's public record.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Snoop sent weed there, and the crazy thing is this: the feds and everybody bust into the club. Like, it's bona fide drug dealers in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this Snoop, we got real drug dealers in the club. Like, when they came in, we didn't know who they wanted. We were so happy that they asked for Calvin Broadus. You know, that was our best day because, like, what he did was he shipped weed to the Marriott.
Right.
So the Pat was the female that booked the show. They were trying to do sound check. She says, "I'm gonna go get your package." You know, she don't know what it is.
She has no idea what it is, folks. If you're listening, she has no idea.
She brings it to the club. They arrest her. Pat stays in jail. I want to say for 2 days. So she files a lawsuit against Snoop. This is in 1996, I think. Snoop don't come back.
I remember that. I do remember that.
He comes back to Virginia in 2001 down the beach. When he comes to the beach, he gets served, you know, because this is an active lawsuit. From 96, 10 years later, it don't matter. He gets served on stage, and they settle out. I think they gave her $2 or $3 million. They settled out. But she did about 2 days with the fans. They kept her. Like, we did the show without her. Like, they locked Pat up for that until, you know, they could prove, you know, because she picked up the package. And you know what Snoop said? It ain't mine. It ain't his.
He FedExed it.
Well, I know that seems crazy in theory, but in the 90s, I know people that used to FedEx thousands of dollars, $10,000 to people. I know.
But I can't smell money. I can smell weed.
Nah, not if you dry pack it and then air seal it.
Oh,
I think.
Right. You said I think.
I think, you know.
Yeah. He knows some. Some people have experience. Yeah.
Well, they shipped. Apparently, you can't smell it because they shipped it, and it was all that. They just traced it. They didn't catch him. They traced the package. Okay. It wasn't that they smelled anything because she would have smelled it. She'd have picked it up and said, "Oh, I ain't messing with that." So
we got the hottest show on the net.
and what was so good is really that put Petersburg on the map.
Oh, yeah,
it did.
MTV came for that show. MTV did a whole, I should send you the thing. They have an airplane on a map flying from Hollywood to Petersburg and say, where is Petersburg, Virginia? So then the reason I say Petersburg blew up and we even got The Walking Dead now is because the white dudes from MTV started filming. They stayed in town for like a week filming all kinds of sites that they felt were good film sites. You know, all these historic buildings and stuff. So they stayed there. And we just had The Walking Dead here. But right after that, all these movies started coming to Virginia. Lincoln, all these things after that time started coming here. Tim Reed came after that.
That's right, with his studios. That's right.
MTV did a thing. And I what's the white boy, the VJ? He said, you know, where is Petersburg, Virginia? And why is Snoop coming to Petersburg? You know, but really,
everybody came to VA. Everybody came to VA.
We did everybody. You can't think of a rapper that was out in the 90s. We did Busta, we did Trick Daddy, we did DMX, we did Biggie, we did Outkast, we did TLC, we did the Goody Mob, we did every reggae artist, Shabba.
I mean, just think about what the great Jose was doing at the Richmond Coliseum with all those huge concerts that we had early in the 90s. Man. All the artists came through Richmond, Petersburg, Norfolk, Hampton area.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it kind of bothers me when I see these hip hop documentaries and when they talk about, you know, I'm from New York, so I recognize what New York did. But then they say, oh, yeah, and Virginia. You know, they don't mention the specifics about what radio station or what specific DJ did something for hip hop to help break the records here. So that's why I appreciate you saying what you're saying now and sharing it with the audience, because people just don't know. But our region during that time was a region that we broke records. We kicked in doors during that time.
But when you talk about
what I knew about Richmond. and I learned this just through my conference calls. Richmond always got records first because if a New York record could work in Richmond, they felt like it could go down south. If a down south record worked in Richmond, they felt like it could go up north.
And guess who was the linchpin in Richmond?
I was in a prime location at the right time because, Southern rap, Outkast really, we could say we had Arrested Development, Tennessee.
Right.
We could say I can name a bunch of other groups from the South.
Right.
But the reason I say Outkast is because, number one, they went diamond. The reason we have the term diamond is because of
Outkast. Yeah.
So they sold more records. So when people run around saying they the king of the South, I say, man, y'all should back up. Because if you want to talk about the real kings of the South, you got to figure out who first built the South and laid a foundation for the South to even have a name. Who was it that was at the Soul Train Music Awards that said the South got something to say?
That's true. That was Outkast. That was Outkast. That's right.
It's like we ain't nothing.
Right.
Outkast led the charge, and this is what they did do. They didn't try to be like New York. Think about it. Every rapper that came out tried to have a New York swag, a New York accent. Even California, Exhibit was borderline New York. Too Short had his own style, and then of course Snoop and them had their own style. But before there was a Snoop
and Ice-T, can't forget Ice-T.
Ice-T.
But T is from Brooklyn, ain't he? Originally,
I thought he was
I know he's from lives in the West Coast, but I thought he was originally from Brooklyn.
I don't know where Ice-T is.
We can check that.
Yeah. But
we can check that.
Ice-T really, his record, people say so much about Ice-T, but in my lifetime and even in my experience, like he's somebody that I can overlook in hip hop. Like I can just look past him because he did Colors. If you take off Colors from the movie, if he didn't do the movie Colors, the song for that movie, you could say he did.
They say he's from. Edwin says he's from Newark, New Jersey.
Origin.
Okay, you could say that he did Body Bag or Cop Killer, whatever that record was.
6 a.m. 6 a.m.
Nobody cared about that record.
On the East Coast, but on the West Coast, yes, they did.
Right.
It was big on the West Coast.
Now, that's why I'm only speaking of my life and experiences. But I would say that was what's his name? Spoonie G. Is that the brother?
Yeah, he sampled that.
But his whole style was
the cadence and the flow was similar to that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we're paying homage. Very similar. And so when he does that, right, it's easy for me to overlook him at that time because hip hop at that time, you weren't supposed to bite somebody's style. So when he does that, even though he's from California, if you're from the East Coast, you look at that and go, he ain't nothing because he just copying this. Back then it wasn't cool. I think Jay-Z made taking lines cool, because I always say, y'all call him the greatest, but every song he did got a Biggie line in it. Just from my perspective, having worked with the records, I
got one of my boys, Dame, and we go back and forth about Jay. He's like, how you gonna be the greatest if he take everybody's lines, all the Biggie lines? And I like to get under his skin, so I always say he the GOAT.
Well, now that can be argued. My class, that can be argued, but what I would say is this. When Biggie was alive, if Biggie was alive today, my quote is Jay-Z would be like AZ.
Ooh.
That's where he'd be. Because there wasn't no second to Biggie. When we was running around, he wasn't Brooklyn's finest was Biggie.
Right.
My conspiracy theory has always been that Jay killed him so he could be the king of Brooklyn. It's a conspiracy theory, just
boy, we about
little
to go
tongue in cheek. That was always my theory. That if you really want to say somebody do it, and we do like our elders told us, follow the money. So, initially when I followed the money, I was like, well, Puff gained a lot. He got a lot of success, and he started wearing sunglasses, and he never took his sunglasses off. But then when I look at big picture, I go, wait a minute. Jay-Z became the king of New York. He actually took the whole slot that was vacated, when Biggie died.
Right.
He took that whole spot, and then he parlayed it into $1 billion. So if you really follow the money, it goes to Jay-Z. And then all these crazy things that I be hearing online now, I'm like, whoa, okay, y'all really going left. But so if you want to be a conspiracy theory,
about who? About Puffy?
Puffy and Jay-Z.
Okay, so
yeah, you don't want to go down that tunnel, man. That tunnel is dark.
Yeah,
but
oh my God.
If you think about it, if we think of all the theories, here's what upsets me. What upsets me is we act like black people can't be successful because they're talented. You know, to say that Queen Latifah had to sacrifice her brother, you know, that was they claim she sacrificed her brother to get where she at. Really? What about the records and the talent? And she actually did good and set it off. Right. You said Jay-Z sacrificed for what? Like all these people that we say sacrifice these people, I go, but what about their talent? Like, do their talent not count for something? So when I always entertain the conspiracy theories because of being on the inside and seeing it, the probability is high.
Right.
But then my blackness tells me that we got talent. So why is it that if I'm overly talented, because Jay-Z may have been like AZ, but he did OJ.
Yeah.
You know, when you start looking, my argument about Jay-Z and why he wasn't the greatest, because I say if you listen to the first 10 albums, they was all the same. Once you heard the first one, he sold drugs. I said, nigga, you ain't sold that many drugs. You're not selling drugs no more. Stop rapping about that.
Right.
Then he got with Kanye and his whole direction changed. And so then I said, he really do got talent, because now he went from from dropping street knowledge to dropping real knowledge. So once he made that transition, I started giving him credit. Like you got to really look at the skill set that he has, because he took a street career, and Jay-Z, to his defense, said he wasn't a rapper. Jay-Z said, I'm a hustler. You know what I'm saying? So y'all out there really trying to make great records. I'm trying to sell records, dope selling. This is what I'm going to do. So when you look at it from that perspective, till he made enough money, and then he said, I'm gonna drop 444. Then what he say? I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of knowledge for $9.99. You know, when he said, don't buy hustle on the block, buy the block. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Really how to flip stuff. So from that aspect, Jay-Z at least gets in the conversation. If I have to pick somebody, I go with CeeLo. Y'all can say I'm crazy, but if you go pull up the Soul Food album, you pull up
what are we debating? What is for the greatest
rapper of all
rap? Yep. I'm saying if you don't put CeeLo's name in the conversation,
CeeLo Green,
absolutely. If you don't put CeeLo Green's name in the conversation, you haven't listened to his work. That's
okay. Everybody's got an opinion.
I'm teaching.
And you worked. Did
you have something to do with that Billboard and Vibe list of the top 50 of all time? You had some influence on that, did you?
Not at all. Never even.
CeeLo Green, greatest rapper of all time.
You don't think he could be in the conversation?
He's not in the top 10. Not in my book.
Well, let me hear the top 10.
I mean, I'm just going off the top, so therefore we'll say Jay-Z, we'll say Biggie, we'll say Tupac.
Okay, wait, just stop right there.
I'm just going off. Let me finish.
Okay.
Jay-Z, Tupac. I forgot who did I say. Biggie, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane. You got to put Eminem somewhere in there. How many I said? 7?
6. And I don't even count Eminem, but we'll go ahead and give you that.
I mean, he's in the conversation.
Before Black Thought, you didn't say Black Thought. You didn't say Rakim. Like,
Rakim, Black Thought. Okay. Let's go.
Talib.
Nah, I don't know about my top 10.
Well, here's the question I always ask people. You have to figure out what qualifies you as the greatest of all time.
Nas, thank you so much, yes, Dominic. Nas, definitely.
If you don't qualify the statement, like are we going to judge it on record sales? Are we going to judge it on bars?
I think the first thing you got to start with is your technique, your lyrical skill, and then of course you got to look at the body of work.
Okay. Now,
the body of work is important. And that's where I don't think you put CeeLo in that category as greatest rapper.
We got Pete takes that said Lil Wayne.
You know.
Lil Wayne.
You got to give him props.
If you can name all of those people, then this is what I would suggest people do. I would suggest
Lauryn Hill.
I would suggest you get copies of the lyrics and then read them. if we were to read the lyrics, if we were to sit down and read the lyrics and see exactly what they deliver, because the flow, it's hard to say the flow because New Yorkers are going to shy away from the Southern flow. If you start talking,
that is true. I will give you that. And I'm a New Yorker, so that's true. I'm gonna give you that.
If you talk about, because a lot of times they can't even catch the cadence. Right. So it's hard for if you're north of Richmond, it's hard for you to catch the cadence.
But you're giving CeeLo a lot of credit because of his flow and the way he's able to basically use different cadences and different flows and be able to
lyrical content.
Okay. But I mean, what are his 5 biggest records? Hip hop records.
Now you're talking about the Goody Mob.
The Goody Mob.
It will become the Goody Mob. So now you because I can't isolate. If you say the Goody Mob, then I can give you.
Okay, but every single outside of I mean, all the artists that we named were solo artists, right?
Yes. So then I would have
if you want to say. No, yeah, all of them.
So then we can't say. So you're saying we can't put Andre 3000 in that because he's from a group. But I would argue that Andre 3000, if he ain't in your top 10, I would question that top 10. Like, I think that Big Boy is the most underrated artist because he got Andre on the other side. But if you start listening to Big Boy's lyrics, that's why I think it's important to read the lyrics. See, what I've been doing lately, especially for my book and for teaching hip hop, I'm reading the lyrics. When you read the lyrics and what they're saying, so many rappers ain't really saying nothing. And then if you talk about body of work, Biggie only had 2 albums. So now we can discount him because you take his 2 albums, then I get to add somebody else because his body ain't.
Yeah, but you got to look at the impact of those 2 albums too.
Well then, so
for the culture, yeah.
Well then, let's look at the impact that Outkast gave the culture because they delivered you the whole South, and the South still winning. That started.
Yeah, but you said CeeLo. You said CeeLo.
Because when I compare CeeLo verses, when I look at CeeLo's verses, he got some of the strongest out there. And I listen to a lot of rap music and I read a lot of rap music. I mean, just listen to
and we didn't even say Busta Rhymes.
Busta, see? Now, here's what I always say to this argument. If you're going to say that, does the person have to show up? Because if you're talking about putting them in front of each other, then I got to put Busta and DMX as 1 and 2. Because if you actually have to show up and bring energy, no one brings more energy than Busta and DMX. So that's 1 and 2.
KRS-One. KRS-One.
Yeah, well, but see, so everybody we've named, I've seen them all perform live.
I have too.
And I've seen some of them not impress me. As a matter of fact, I would say that Tupac is the wackest rapper in the top 10.
I mean, Rakim is considered one of the greatest, but on stage, left a lot to be desired.
Well, I saw him rock the House of Blues. I was wondering how he would translate in California, and I saw him turn it out. Mm-hmm. I've seen Tupac.
I actually hosted that show at the HOB.
I've never seen Biggie flop, ever.
Right.
Now, maybe somebody out there has. I've done a million dates, never seen him flop. I've seen Tupac have a bad day. I've seen Weezy have a bad day, the whole Cash Money. I've seen them have bad days where they just didn't get their stuff off. Now, perhaps Biggie and them had them, and I just wasn't there. I've seen Jay-Z not do so well. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking live, we talk about. I've never seen Outkast nor the Goody Mob have a bad show. I've never seen CeeLo stumble a verse of his ever. And I've seen all these people that y'all naming mess up their own verse.
Now, Pete said, did he say the wackest top 10 rapper was Tupac? No, he didn't say he was the wackest rapper. Yeah. He said he had the wackest stage show.
Out of the top 10.
Out of the top 10. Yes. If you ever seen them do a show, it's like, okay, all right, okay, I get it.
Yes, not the wackest rapper. I actually love Tupac. I actually love the thing I like most about Tupac is most of his albums was talking about killing the police and not us.
Right.
If you start reading his lyrics, his lyrics is about killing the police. They're not about running around.
About to go viral.
So I give Tupac a lot of credit for the movement that he created inside of people.
Right.
The things that Tupac did that were outside the music industry that I credit him for. The fact that he was actually.
But you could say the same thing about KRS-One. He did that too.
Well, for many years of my life, Chris was my favorite rapper. I got every album. I thought it was an honor to work the boom bap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Chris
we will be here forever.
Right. And think about this. He don't have a platinum album.
Right.
He don't have a platinum album. So we're gonna say Chris the best rapper ever, and he don't have a platinum record. How that work?
I mean, he's in the top 10.
I know, because we're not basing it on sales. We're basing it on talent.
Right.
So we're basing it on talent
and longevity too.
But then now you gotta say LL. LL ran from
84.
My Radio 1980 something to
84.
2000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From the 80s to 2000, if we go with longevity, then you got to throw him in the mix. You got to throw Chris. Chris still rapping. Chuck D, Public Enemy, still rapping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to. Method Man, still rapping. Redman, still rapping.
We still hadn't got to your first record label, man.
We are on track, man. We are.
I'm trying to get you, man. I swear,
you're controlling the interview.
For folks,
I'm just talking. You're controlling the interview.
Folks that's watching this,
can we get out of?
Can
we get out of the year 1995? Move on to 96, 97 now.
Before we get out of that, let's talk about the Flood Zone.
But that was great, Fat Thomi. That was great.
Man.
And that was off the top. That was not scripted. You had no idea.
That's not on the script.
Like, it's not even, I didn't read it, but I'm sure that wasn't on there. He just said he made a greatest of all. First, for the record.
No, you said CeeLo, and I had to be like, come on.
No, you made a greatest of all time comment, and I know that because I'm testing the waters because I'm about to write a whole chapter on CeeLo. So
okay.
I'm throwing it out there because I firmly believe, because this is what he did. The South, to me, didn't have knowledge of self. But CeeLo, I was asked the question one time, if I could only give my son one album who wasn't born for him to listen to, what would it be? So I always claim Soul Food, because in Soul Food, they told you that the Goody Mob is God is every man of blackness. You know what I'm saying? So that alone, and in that album, they were constantly preaching that the black man is God. You didn't get that from Southern rappers. You know what I'm saying? That's a New York 5%er thing, and they brought it to the South. You know what I'm saying? Then, if you start looking at the things that they say on that album, they were very revolutionary. That's why when we get to it, I'm going to tell you that Arista shut them down. I mean, purposely. I do not believe it was an accident. I believe that because they had a Tabasco sauce emblem on the album. You remember that? Soul Food was supposed to be a Tabasco sauce album cover. When they shipped it, all of a sudden they got to stop all the promo, call all the records back in the middle when they're supposed to be platinum. Right? They shipped and it got pulled back. And I said, do you mean to tell me that Arista got all those lawyers and they never looked at that logo and thought that? No, they looked at the logo and they knew they was going to recall it to stop the momentum. That to me was done on purpose. I'm on the inside. I saw it. I argued it. I was pissed. And I think it was because it gave the South a conscience. Because before you telling everybody that you were pissed, tell them what your position was at the company. I was national director of hip hop.
The man that's the national director of hip hop. So you were definitely in the room. You helped make decisions, and you saw it before.
No. Nope. Stop that.
Let's get it.
You don't make no decisions at Arista. Like Arista was like a dictatorship.
Whoa. Let's talk about that.
Damn. It rolled. Lionel Rightnour once told me this. Arista, LaFace came to New York, wave your hands in the air, or wave them like you just don't care. Lionel said that was the backward ass, most country shit he ever heard that'll never go nowhere. That's what he told me. It's like, how you gonna work this? And I'm like,
what song was he talking about again?
Outkast.
Okay.
Wave your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Shanti Das came in my office. And
shout out to Shanti.
After the meeting, Shanti looked me in the eye and said, I know they don't get it. What do you think about the album? I said, Shanti, you ain't going to have no problems. that's some hit. It's fire. It's gonna blow up. Whatever the current slang at the time was, that's what I said it was. And I told her they would have no problems. Everyone else in the office, except for my assistant La, who was actually from Louisiana, thought it was whack. Thought Outkast had really turned in some garbage. And they was openly saying it in the office. And I think Outkast has a lot to do with why I didn't stay at Arista, because I was vocal to my own detriment, just about Outkast,
But Outkast wasn't the only group that when you and I had a conversation,
Outkast,
they sabotaged their career.
They had Brand Nubian.
Brand Nubian.
I had the Foundation album and was so happy to have the Foundation album because I thought consciousness was going to rise because finally we got a conscious album at the #1 label and they ain't give me a budget. Anytime there was a record released, as quiet as it's kept, there was $5,000 to $10,000 in my desk on a Tuesday. I had a discretional record fund, So when Brand Nubian dropped, I ain't get a dime. I ain't get a dime to work that record. Love Hate. What was the record?
By Brandon. Slow Down.
No, it's Don't Let It Go to
Don't
Your
Let
Head.
It Go to Your Head.
No.
Don't Let It Go to Your Head.
Don't Let It Go to Your Head.
I left Arista.
To the left.
They didn't work that record.
Punks jump up to get beat down. Woo!
I worked that record.
That was the first album.
I worked Don't Let It Go to Your Head, with no money, not even working at Arista no more. I left Arista the week that album dropped. And I called every DJ. First, I shipped it before I left. And then I called on every DJ, even though I was not even working at Arista. I put out the building, but I believed in the record and the message, again, to my detriment. I think I was speaking too candidly about Brand Nubian, and I liked Outkast too much.
Do you think that the fact that at that time, before Outkast came out, most of the records that were being played on commercial radio stations at that time were East Coast flavored type of songs? So someone like Lionel will hear that song and be like, nah, it ain't gonna work.
I would say no, because you got to remember at this time you got Death Row.
Yeah.
You got
right. But you didn't have any song. You didn't have any songs that had that South feel to it.
Let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
Dre. Then Tennessee. What was dude's name?
Arrested Development. Right.
No. What was the label? The dude Independent in Tennessee.
Are you talking about the record label itself?
Yeah, it was a dude.
Chrysalis?
No, it's gonna come to me. It was a brother. They had a label. I thought it was in Nashville, Tennessee, somewhere down south. Who was MJG and 8 Ball signed to? Who was the biggest independent?
That must be you going off.
I'm sorry. Who was the biggest independent? The biggest independent was Master P. First, we had Master P. You got to remember, the same time Outkast came out, Master P was in New York because the rumor was he dropped.
Keeping it. Is it Tony Draper?
Tony Draper. Yes. What was they label?
Edwin. Man, we got to put Edwin on the show.
Edwin is on
Edwin is on it.
Jeez.
Shout out to Edwin.
That's my man. That's my big brother right there. Small House. Right. So now you got these records at this time. You know what I'm saying? People, the South, what was truly happening was what eventually happens to everybody. You matriculate up so high that you can't see what's going on down at the bottom, where everything that's happening in the world is happening at the bottom. Ain't too much happening at the top. The flavor, the money trickles down.
I asked that question because of that. Lionel may not have been aware of what was happening on the bottom.
But here's the thing: if you're the national, the senior vice president of radio promotions, right? Senior vice president of radio promotions, it's not a good look to say that one of the top artists in your subsidiary, that's your underling label, in an office, when you make a statement like that in the office, it sets the tone for the office.
You
gotta understand, he's saying the record is garbage, so I can tell when you get on a conference call and you saying why you ain't get the record played, you know what I'm gonna say? You told me it was garbage. What you tripping on? You said it was garbage, so why are you pressing me to get Lorenzo to play it? Lorenzo don't like it because you don't like it. So to even talk about motivating a staff and say that's reckless. But we're not going to discuss his character. We're going to discuss the record. If you are the head of a label and you don't know that record's going to blow up, I question whether you should be the head of the label. That's why I ain't there.
Woo! Viral.
I ain't there.
Woo! Woo!
Okay. That's what it is, you know.
Welcome to Shooting the Breeze. Conversations with the DJ.
I'm not there because, for one thing, I think I'm the shit. You know, I didn't work. I check my resume. That's, you know, I said in the book, check the receipts. Let's look at my first 10 records. You know, I got Rick Rubin flying me out to California, telling me I'm the shit. You know, you break this record. So now I leave Warner. I go to Rick Rubin flies me. So I'm in Virginia at this time. I got the hottest hip hop club in Petersburg. You know, I'm the club. My take is $10,000. There's 3 of us, and I'm leaving the club on a Saturday night with 10 stacks, and I ain't done nothing illegal. You know what I'm saying?
What year is this? What year is this now?
This is 1996, 95.
Okay. All right, we moving on.
I got an event. I have an event that's called Black College Day at King's Dominion.
I was hosting.
I remember that.
What are you talking about?
That.
Okay? So I created that with a brother named Skew from VCU. He was an alpha. Me and him created that event in 94, because right after the riots in 89, when they put us out of Virginia Beach, we went to Florida. Greek Fest became Florida. Then we tried to figure out a way we could make money. And so then we created Black College Day. That ran, you know, I did that event till 2000 till Fat Joe, Big Pun, The Locks, and DJ Cool. That was my last day. That was my last show. They ran me out of King's Dominion after that one. But I had that, so you got to think that night, that day, generate $50,000. You got club nights is generating $10,000. You're getting anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000 a record. You can't tell me nothing. I'm young, crazy, you know.
Yeah, crazy.
All my boys is like running the town. You know, they in control of the city. My friends are controlling the city. And I got all these acts. You know, everybody that's coming to town is trying to be. I used to tell people, if I ain't work your record in the 90s, you ain't have a hit. That's just, if you say your name and I didn't touch your record or touch you as an artist, it's a good chance you were not platinum.
Wow.
I mean, D'Angelo couldn't get on in Richmond. Aaron Maxwell refused to play Brown Sugar till I went to see him.
Really?
Yes. Call Aaron. Somebody get Aaron on the phone.
Get Aaron on this live. What?
Aaron Maxwell, because
why?
Because Brown Sugar was talking about weed. He had a problem with D'Angelo singing about weed. And if you knew Aaron, that is his particular stance in life.
Yeah, but you can't program your radio station like that. It's not about you. It's about the listening audience.
And he didn't. What he needed was a person. He needed a young dude who understood the music. You got to think now, you got these old promoters that's a click ahead of me. So they used to things a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a real boys club. When, you know, Cy Young, all them guys are ahead of me. Philip Faithful, all these dudes, you know, I'm the young, we ushering in hip hop. You know, it's an R&B world. You know what I'm saying? Now D'Angelo gonna take something that's in Aaron's wheelhouse, R&B, in vogue. He loved these people, and now bring weed into the mix. You know what I'm saying? That didn't sit well with Aaron. But I asked Aaron if he wanted to deny an individual from Richmond stardom. I said, look, word on the street is everybody looking at Richmond. He getting played everywhere, and he not in rotation in Richmond, and he from Richmond, and they saying, what's up?
Yeah, we're playing him in DC.
So
Huckabee was playing him in DC.
The dude, what is his name? he was the Atlantic rep or Virgin, whatever label D'Angelo was on. I want to break the record. I told
Chris Berry was local.
Chris Berry, yep. And I thought he told me he was from Petersburg, actually. He told me he was from Virginia.
He used to work at WPLZ.
Yeah,
so
1999.
Chris Berry, this is the one thing that I'll say that Richmond holds true. If Willie Lynch wasn't here, his whole angel of touching people was. Because all of my biggest detractors are from my hometown. I guess me and Jesus. You know, Jesus, they couldn't mess with him.
I like you, man. I think you're cool.
But you're not from Richmond.
True that. I'm from Newport News.
Chris Berry wouldn't hire me on the record. I was like, Chris, what are you talking about? Hire me. I don't need you there. Aaron wouldn't play the record. He called me up. I told him $5,000. They paid me $2,500. I never got my second half. But I walked in and took one conversation with Aaron, and I just appealed to his sensible, logical side. That Aaron, it's going to be a big record. You need to get credit for it because he's from Richmond. And if you don't play it, you're holding him back. So do you think the fact that he's singing about weed, you should deny him? And then I reminded him, didn't you like Rick James? You do know that Mary Jane.
Right.
And so when I hit him with that, and Aaron said, okay. So then Aaron added the record. And Chris Berry never sent me my other half. This still 2,500. You don't, but
did he play How Does It Feel?
Oh,
Untitled.
Look, after that, he was a D'Angelo fan.
Okay. All right. Good.
D'Angelo shot that video in Richmond. My wife was in it.
Right. Yo, say that again.
My wife is in the How Does It Feel video.
But it was just D'Angelo in that video, right?
No, the live video was shot in Richmond.
Oh, the live video, not the studio one when he was shirtless.
No.
Okay, so that's the video. So you got to watch it, Fat Thomi. When you say your wife was in the video, that's the video everyone thinks about, the one by himself when he's going around and around. And then the rumor at that time was that someone was performing.
That wasn't my wife.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. you gotta be specific.
What basically happened was I was balling out of control, so I bought the whole front row for the D'Angelo show.
Damn.
I bought the front row, and I had my wife, her sisters, and all her college girlfriends. So if you see the whole front row, it's all girls. I bought the whole front row and sat them in it.
That was at the
Landmark.
At the Landmark, and Angie was in the wing with the baby, wasn't she?
Yep, she was there that night.
I was there because she was in the wing with the baby.
That's Angie Stone. Angie Stone.
They thought it was going down that night. It didn't, but everybody was. The word was it's going down. You know, she was back there. It was real madness, but yes, she was there that night.
Yeah, I remember that night because it was like, it's gonna get interesting. Yeah. So. You're not on the West Coast yet, are you? You're about to go to the West Coast.
There right now. So
wait, hold up. Okay, so was there any rapport between you and Daryl Huckabee because he was in Washington D.C. while you were in Richmond and he was the program? Did y'all do any work together? And I have to bring that up because Huck is on the live, and I worked with Daryl. I worked for Daryl. He was my program director at WKYS in Washington D.C.
Huck was like a big brother to me in West Haven. My man Edwin was my big brother, but Huckabee was like that other kid that lived up there that had money. He lived on the end of the street with all the money. Huck was like, he went to private school, you know, at Hopkins.
He's putting you on blast, Huck.
Private school. So I never ran. Had I knew Huck was the program director in DC, you thought I was arrogant and cocky then? If my
wait a minute. So wait. You never came and hung out with us in DC?
Never.
At Republic Gardens or Dream in its heyday? You never came through?
I hung out at Dream, Love, and Republic Gardens as a person.
Not as a music guy.
But that doesn't make sense to me.
You know what?
I can't understand how you could come to that town during that time and Huckabee in the position that he held at WKYS and how we ran that town during that time.
But he only ran Richmond down to the Carolinas, right?
I'm just saying, I mean, that was cool. I can't believe that he didn't come down that
because I didn't know Huck was in DC.
Okay. All right.
I moved from Connecticut in 1979. The next time I run into Daryl Huckabee is when I have my own label and I go to DC and they say he's the program director. And I go, wow, had I known this 6 years ago,
okay.
I would have added DC to my, trust me. If I would have knew that Huck was the head of the radio in DC, I would have probably had Lionel's job because I knew Greg Street. Me and Greg was I knew Greg Street, Ryan Cameron, all these dudes. I knew Polo and everybody in Greensboro and all of that. Had I known Daryl Huckabee at the time, I knew him, but had I known he was at the station, it would have been too powerful.
I'm just imagining that. So that's why it's so hard for me to believe.
I've always been accused of being cocky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
I tell
you good.
This is
me
what
too.
I've been called that too.
Me too.
I tell my children that it's nothing wrong with being confident. What I'm against people telling us to be humble. I heard 19 Keys say that. I was watching a joint and 19 Keys said he'll never tell us to be humble because humble is head down, tucking, and it's not trying to show what you got. And he said something that made me say, I know why I acted the way I did. He said, do you think our ancestors were humble? They built pyramids, 100-foot statues. That's not humble. So humble to me is a trick that they use on us to make us think we're not supposed to say how dope we are. Like we supposed to say we dope. We supposed to be the best. I don't care if you're a doctor. You're supposed to walk in. I had heart surgery, okay? The second time I had heart surgery, they had to put a stent inside of a stent because my stent had collapsed. So they had to put a stent inside of a stent. So I went to MCV Hospital. I got the head cardiologist, head heart doctor, flew in just to do my stent. This dude came in with designer scrubs, him and his whole team. First, a girl,
Louis Scrubs.
They go in through your groin, right? So this girl shaves me. And then he walks in and all of them got to leave. I said, where y'all going? She said he bring his whole staff. So he comes in, all of them got on designer scrubs. He has a DJ with him. He says, I say, who is that? He said, that's my DJ. What you want to hear? I said, well, this ain't about me. I need you to be comfortable. That's what you want to listen to. But he got a DJ, like a person that controls music for him.
That's dope. That's dope.
They come in and he
going viral.
A stent inside of a stent, they got a 3D camera. The only reason I mention that is because he didn't come in humble. He came in like an artist. Like he came in like I knew he was that dude. He didn't come in as this humble heart doctor. He came in like, I'm that dude. You know, I'm top dog here. And I got designer scrubs. Like everybody else got these blue. He got designer scrubs. His team got designer scrubs. He got a bandana on his head. This man got a bandana.
So when you walk in, you look at his DJ, play my theme music.
Right. He said, what music do you want? Dude goes in the back. It's a glass window like a booth. Like to me in my mind, I'm going, I know I got the right person because they got like a DJ booth in my mind over there. They don't know I work records. So in my mind, I'm saying this is a sign from God that I'm going to be okay.
You're going to be all right.
So I know that humble ain't the way it is.
I feel you.
Just look at our counterparts. Barack Obama came into the White House humble. Did George Bush come in humble? How about Donald Trump? He the dumbest man alive. Did he come in humble?
Oh, no.
He a long way from that.
Right. Yeah. So why would we tell our children or any generation to come into anything humble? Humble means you scared. See, I wasn't never scared because this is what I would say. My job said I had to get 16 stations or 1 million in audience. Okay. If I couldn't get 16 stations, I could call Greg Street and beg for a 6 o'clock spin. Because if I get Greg and a couple of the Carolinas, I got my audience. I got 1 million in audience between Atlanta, Greensboro, Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? So just give me 3. I don't make the 16. But I would challenge any of the people that I work for to dare say I never made my records get where they were supposed to be. So I passed them on to you exactly where they were supposed to be. It doesn't matter the record, including Chino itself. I walked Chino up the line. That's what made Rick Rubin. Nobody else in the country could get
Chino up?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the record. It was a remake of a rock band.
I remember Chino.
They shot a video and he walked on water on the video. but nobody could get it played but me. So Rick Rubin flew me out there because he wanted me to he wanted to know if I could break the record. And Dan Charner, shout out to Dan. Dan had me work the record because a dude from the Arista street team, he was on the street team with us. And he got a job at Deaf American. All he did was, and he told me this so I could say it, he got the company card and charged up all his studio equipment to build a studio and quit. That was like his thing. He was like, I just wanted a job long enough to get a company card. Because, you know, when you had company cards, when you worked at Warner Brothers, they gave you an American Express.
Right.
You had an American, it ain't had no limit. If you go to Arista, they give you a Diners Club. But they give you a envelope weekly.
Right.
At Warner Brothers, I'm going to say they didn't condone payola. Because they didn't give you access to cash. But what they did do was they gave me an American Express without a limit. You know, I charged $30,000 one month.
So you really no limit.
Yeah, but they did. This was the funny thing. When AD hired me, he told me I can't pay you what you're asking for. But what I can do is I'll give you the American Express, and anything you charge, I'll sign off on. I mean, I spent
great AD Washington. The great AD Washington.
You know,
AD Washington. Yeah.
Well, he really taught me the record business. He allowed me to quasi run Warner Brothers because I was with him every morning. So when he took his team calls, you know, with all the radio reps,
right,
I was in the room. He had it on mute. He was asking, like, literally, the stock market was crashing. AD was watching his money go away. So all of that record stuff, he allowed me to learn a lot during that time. You know, I remember Bill Clinton called and he didn't take his call. He was like, they said the president. I was like, the president of where? He was like, the United States. And I was like, AD. And he was like, he don't want nothing but to play golf. Tell him I'll call him back. Like, literally. He didn't take a call from Bill Clinton.
I had no idea. I had no idea he was that close to Bill Clinton.
Well, he's from Arkansas.
That's right.
AD told me he had way more money messing with the Rockefellers. They owned a mountain in Arkansas, and they made Clinton president, governor, and then president. He said he got his start encouraging people to vote. He had a suitcase of money that he passed out to get people to vote. You know, I'm going to stop short of calling it buying votes because I'm going to say he handed out money. He never said buying votes, so I'm not going to say buying votes.
Right.
He handed out money.
Then we shouldn't say that.
Right.
He encouraged people to vote with money. So he said he saw way more money in politics than he saw in the music business.
Okay.
He said. So when they brought me out there, I first went, my first label was Deaf American. But I wasn't working there. They had me on retainer for $5,000 a week.
Right. So
I go in, I go over to AD, proud. AD, I did it. He said, how much you get? $5,000 a week. He said it was worth $20,000. I went, what? So what they paid me $5,000 a week for that I thought I was getting over, AD said, he hurried up and shook your hand, didn't he? I said, yeah. He said, because it was worth $20,000.
20 grand a week.
That's what I should have been paid. That's what AD said. He said I could have easily asked for $20,000 a week. I asked for $5,000 and they accepted. So that was my first lesson about music and how much money there was
being generated.
So Rick Rubin brought me there because he was going to sign an artist named DJ Kool. So he signs DJ Kool, and I'm already familiar with
we got to give it up for DJ Kool.
Absolutely. Now, I say that DJ Kool allowed me to make history and do the greatest thing ever. Because when Warner Brothers and Rick Rubin signed DJ Kool, his record was a year old. It was already out the summer before. Had already played Baltimore, D.C., Virginia, Philly.
Which song are you referring to?
Let Me Clear My
Throat.
Okay.
It was over. Record's done. A year later, it's signed. They want to break the record. They're going to take the record pop. Gary Young in Philly won't play the record. You know, I got every station in the country they playing the record. Gary Young, I ain't playing the record.
My old program director, he got me into FM radio.
Yeah, he got me into FM radio.
He's hired us
because Eric and I were on AM radio prior to FM
at that
radio.
time. Yeah.
Well, WANT.
Gary Young told me he had no reason to play the record. I played it a year ago. It's ran its course. It's over. And I said, look.
I remember that because we were stressing about it because Cool is family.
I gave all the black people from Virginia to Philly the same speech. This was my speech to them. I said, look, them white boys getting ready to take this record pop, number one. Number two, they killing me in the office. Like, the brothers ain't supporting them. You know, this is shit they was saying. The Dedea brothers, as much as I love Mark Dedea and the Dedea brothers, they used to say the most racist shit ever. Like, you know, they wasn't calling us brothers. The brothers ain't supporting, you know, but they didn't say that. They would say, what you gonna do? What they gonna do? This supposed to be your stuff. Ain't you from the East Coast? You know, all of that. Right. The reason I say I love them is because I was in the bathroom in Hollywood and waiter came in.
Thank you, Tommy.
Oh yeah. A waiter bumps into me, this white dude, and then like really goes crazy. Like, you know, a shoulder bump, he walking in and snaps on me.
Right.
Mark Dedea, I can't remember Mark Dedea's brother, but he had long black hair. Came as close to beating the brakes off of a white dude in the bathroom than I ever seen in my life.
Okay.
And basically, he was like, I know we give you a hard time, but can't nobody else give you a hard time. Like that was his logic. Now, yes, they gave me a hard time. I say that Rick Rubin was, in my estimation, the best label I ever worked at.
Okay.
If Rick Rubin called me anywhere and asked me to come to work, I would go to work for him. And I only saw him twice, maybe 3 times my whole time there. But what Rick would do is he'd bring masseuses to the office on Friday and give everybody a free massage.
Go ahead, Rick.
If you work there, execs, they could get acupuncture. You know, Rick would, anything that was homeopathic, Rick would take care of you for.
Okay.
So he was to me genuinely concerned about the art form.
Right.
Genuinely concerned about the people who worked for him. And that is what I took from Rick. He was, and again, I only got to talk to him like 3 times. But he made it a point when he flew me there. He never came in the office, but my first day there, he came in the office. You know what I'm saying? He came in the office to meet me. Clive Davis didn't come to the office to meet me when I got there. You know, he came to the office.
Right.
But he didn't come to meet me. Phil Quarterly, when I got to Warner Brothers, he didn't come to meet me. You know what I'm saying? Like these presidents never came to meet me. Rick Rubin was probably richer and more powerful than all the people I worked for. Right. But he took a genuine interest and sat down and talked to me. So I happen to like Rick. Dan Charnas gave me my first real paycheck. You know, I like Dan Charnas. I remember Rick Rubin and Dan Charnas and them, I wouldn't say set me up. They gave me an envelope and told me to take it to Funkmaster Flex. So I go to Flex's office. I'm in New York. I go to Flex's office. Now, mind you, I have to fly in because I don't live in New York at this time. I fly in.
You're still in LA, right?
Yeah. I fly in. I got to wait an hour. An hour to get in. I finally go in. I give Flex the envelope. I don't know what's in the envelope. You know, I hand him the envelope. I'm leaving. That was my job. We speak. Boom. I tell Flex, we kind of know each other because I had I wanted a record played one time, and I drove to New York, and he was DJing, and I waited till 5 a.m. when he came out the station. He came out the station like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was behind his car. And, he got out, and I walked up on him like, yo. He was like, I told you I was coming up, and he had told me to come, but then he didn't know. Well, he said he didn't know. I don't know. Door was locked. I can't get in. No doorbell after hours. So I sit there all night till he get off the shift. He come out at 6 a.m, and then he plays the record because he feels bad that I sat out there all night. So when I give him the envelope, he thanks me. I remind him that we know we have some small talk. I leave.
Right.
I call Dan and he says, did you give Flex his money? I said, what money? He said that was a check for $10,000. So I turn around now because I go back to Flex and I go, damn, that's fucked up. And he go, what? I said, a nigga come all the way up here from Virginia, California, wherever to bring you a check. Y'all don't speak to me. You sit me in the hallway for an hour. No one says hello or offers me a drink of water. And I find out I'm giving you $10,000. I said, that's foul. Where I come from, that's fucked up. Like that was my, so that explains why I never got records played by Flex. But
damn.
That's what I said to Flex. Like that's fucked up that you would have somebody sit and wait, and you know that it's a check from American, and you know Dan is like Funk Flex's man. They like friends. So you know I'm here for Rick Rubin and Dan Charnas, and you know I don't know what's in the envelope, but I got a certified check for you, a cashier's check, and you treat me like I'm a not worse than a delivery person because you don't even offer me no water. He had what was it, Big Dog Promotions or something, I believe it was Big Dog Promotion. So
it's for the company.
Actually, I'm joking when I say he never played a record because through that conversation, everybody in the office became very close to me because they thought I was the craziest dude ever because you just go walk back in here and cuss all us out like we won't fuck you up in here. That was literally how the conversation went. I was like, this is what it is. I'm just going up here to state my truth. And it never turned. We never cussed, fought, or nothing. I had a lot of real man-to-man conversations and was too dumb to know that I was supposed to be kowtowing or being like you special. I didn't treat nobody special.
Right.
None of the artists. I treated everybody like they was grown-ass men and women. And that's how I
regardless of their position. Right.
Yeah. I mean, including the presidents. I remember at Warner Brothers, they told me it was a dude that worked at Warner Brothers who flew in and he was supposed to be a racist. He don't talk to black people. That's what they said. So I went and got me a Heineken and went right over there to him and said, hey, how you doing? Held out my hand because we had a luncheon with the president. Now tell me he's not going to speak to me. Y'all just tell me he's racist. I bet you he'll shake my hand. I walked right over. You know what he did? Shook my hand and said, how you doing? You know why? Because you know who in that room. He can't diss me in front of the president of Warner Brothers. He can't act racist because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sue him. please call me a nigga that day. I'm waiting. He wouldn't do it. So I made it a point also, and I tell my students this. I make it a point to wherever I get a job. When I got a job at Warner Brothers, I got on the president's agenda. I went to a secretary and said, I need 20 minutes with the president. They said, for what? Because I work here and I want to meet the president. Okay. So I go in, I introduce myself, shake his hand, talk to him, and let him know I exist. Same thing when I got to Arista. I went right, set appointment, right to Clive Davis. And then what I found about us, my experience is everybody is scared when they give people these God titles. You know, we call Clive a God. You know, I don't, but people in the industry swear he's a God, so they give him these titles. And I think the titles are ill-afforded and misrepresented. Clive Davis is the person who commissioned the Harvard Report on soul music that caused soul music to take over soul music for Motown and all of them, for Motown to get bought out, for Stax to get ruined, for Star and Sun Records to be put out of business. That was Clive Davis in the Harvard Report. Then you think about hip hop, and I look right at it, the exact same practices that were implemented in the Harvard Report you can see in hip hop. The rules say this: hire all the best of them and fire them. Hire all the best execs, all the best street promoters, get them all under your wing and fire them. Don't matter how much money you give them because you're going to fire them. Sign the best talent because it don't matter. Sign everybody. Buy up all the labels because they play in the long game. So if you go back and look, I got the How Can I Be Down? There was at least 100 independent labels during How Can I Be Down because they all listed in the book. How many of them are here now? I say that if the Jews control the music industry, they didn't steal it. They bought it. We sold it.
I mean, it all started with Sylvia Robinson. If we had come together back then,
yes.
Right back then, had we come together, had she created fair contracts from day one. It's like, you know what? Here's a genre of music where I can uplift my people. And everyone could have been under that umbrella. But yet and still, those contracts were not fair.
This is what happens. And I've seen it because I've been inside. What happens is this. When you get fucked right out of your contract, that becomes the norm. So then when they tell you, see, this is how they get most artists. Shout out to Outkast and Goody Mob for not doing this. The reason I love them is because Outkast didn't allow Goody Mob to make the mistakes they made. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was with Goody Mob, they asked me, who paying for lunch? Because I said, I got it. He said, is that coming out of our budget or your budget? Because Outkast already had their first Outkast had their first audit, and they realized that they were paying for their hotel rooms. Once they realized they were paying not just for theirs, for ours. You know, that comes once you get a PO, you put that artist PO on there, and all your bills are funneled through their account. Outkast told that to Goody Mob. Right. So I say that to say this: when fucketry becomes the norm, then when we get in position, let's say 100 years down the road, that white people actually evaporate from the planet because they saying they're leaving, and we're all race mixing, right? If they leave the planet, the fuckery is not going to go nowhere because the people that are matriculating up are doing the exact same thing as the white
they
people
did to us.
About.
Right.
So when you become, and I'm not saying Puff Daddy did this, but when you become a Puffy, who you really can't blame him because he was just a subsidiary of Arista. So his contract ain't his contract. His contract is Arista's contract. So he allowed, if he got fucked, he allowed all his artists to get mistreated because it's the same contract. So nobody came in the industry and said, these contracts is fucked up. We need to not do business like that.
Right.
That's the problem. Everybody, when they got on the inside, they just fell into suit.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They became worker bees. Like hip hop to me was about rebellion. We was anti-establishment.
Right.
We sure were. Yeah.
Exactly what happened in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker happened to hip hop. We rushed the record industry and they was hiring. So we all got jobs, you know.
Right.
We was outside protesting and we ran and said, we're taking over and it's gonna change. And they said, come on, you need a job, you need a job, you need a job. And they started hiring everybody. So now everybody's hired, and then what the fuckery becomes normal. Everybody normalizes it. So then the only way you come up is if you bring, it's like a pyramid. You got to bring this dude in, let us fuck him. What you do is you bring him in and you get to eat off of him. Right. So we taking your money.
The cycle just continues over and over and over again. Right.
Death Row, Eminem, what is it? Shady Records, and then 50.
Right.
So when 50 get a check, Shady get a check, Death Row get a check. I mean, Interscope get a check.
So it goes from from Eminem to Death Row to Interscope. Everybody eats off of everybody.
Yes. When Biggie get a check, Puff ate, Clyde ate, and they ate before him.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So then if he go, that's why he wasn't going to do his label at Bad Boy. Because then you're talking about
you're going down that hole now. You're going down that hole now. Oh.
And just for people that's checking this out, today is the anniversary of the death of Biggie.
26 years, right? Yeah.
I don't want to be on here this day. See, here's another thing we do. We are not a people of death. Cut that out. Who knows when Biggie's birthday is? You want to be on the show? You call me to come on the show his birthday.
And I said we would do that.
Here's the thing. This is what I always thought about. I'm riding down the highway. I never met Biggie's mom, so this is a hypothetical. I'm riding down the highway with Biggie's mom today. And we driving from New York to Virginia. And New York radio, shout out to Biggie. It's the death of Biggie. So she's saying I got to get out the city because that's all they talking about. We get to Philly. Shout out Biggie's death. We get to Virginia. Everybody's talking about he didn't die. He was murdered. It's not like he died in his sleep.
Anniversary of his murder. You're right.
The man was murdered. But can't nobody tell us the day Biggie was born. Can't nobody tell us when Tupac was born. Can't nobody tell us when King Von was born. Can't nobody tell us when Nip was born. They can tell us when they died. And we're going to celebrate and we're going to party to that. And then we're going to keep reliving it. So what kind of energy are we putting in the atmosphere? Death. We are promoting, hip hop has become the #1 promoter of death and destruction. And we're culpable. I promoted Ready to Die. That was the beginning of the end. Like I when I teach hip hop, I say NWA destroyed hip hop. It was the beginning of the end because a couple of things happened.
Wow.
I saw an interview with the owner of the Raiders, and he said he had made $30,000 off of jerseys, and 4 little black boys came in his office and asked for gear. He said he gave them the gear, the NWA.
Right.
He said the next year they did $3 million in jerseys.
Just because they wore the jersey.
To me, when I look at that, I go, hold it. MTV, first of all, they ain't had no airplay. So MTV and the news, their biggest promotion was they made a record, Fuck the Police, CNN, all the news outlets talking about it.
Yeah.
So what they're now doing is they figure out that there's a real commercial benefit to hip hop. That's what I think they really realized beyond the music. I think that billionaire said, damn, if they can do this with records, it's powerful. I think they realize now, maybe they knew it before then, because, you hearing about the secret letter that goes around on hip hop, whether it's true or not, whether the letter is real or not, the incidents are true, because once they realized how valuable hip hop was, think about this. Dolores Tucker came along, right? This is 1990.
That's right.
She started this whole thing about banning hip hop.
And explicit lyrics and all that, right?
Yes, but if you go and pull up the stock footage when she breaking CDs, guess what CD she breaking?
It was Tupac?
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy? Okay.
What I said...
She didn't even know the right CDs to destroy.
She just had a thing against hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
So she wasn't really even into it to know which was good, which was bad.
Right.
They just used her as an agent to destroy, or to what they thought was going to destroy hip-hop. But listen, follow me right here. Before she did that, we had Poor Righteous Teachers.
That's right.
Queen Latifah. We had Chuck D. We had Native Tongues. All these movements was going up.
That's right.
After she did her destruction and explicit lyrics, Luke went to court, got a sticker put on it. We then got none of them. All of them lost their deal. You ain't heard of a Poor Righteous Teacher record past that. It was hard for Tribe Called Quest. If they didn't have such a great following, them in De La Soul, they would have been pushed to the side. Black Star broke up. Chuck D fell by the wayside. Queen Latifah went to California.
Yeah.
All the positive hip hop is what she destroyed. Not her, but that movement.
The movement, right.
The movement said, okay, we're going to put explicit lyrics, but what we really want to do is get rid of Chuck D and them. These dudes is telling black people they God. We can't have that. This won't work. And you can't tell me it wasn't selling. If you remember, we had gave up jewelry. We freed South Africa. We was wearing black medallions, no jewelry, leather hats. We wasn't spending blood diamonds was no. We bankrupted Reebok, remember? Don't buy Reeboks. They refused to divest in South Africa.
Right. You had Public Enemy producing Sister Soldier.
Sister Soldier on the Donahue show, ordering out the president.
That's
saying Bill Clinton is signing this mandatory minimums.
You had X-Clan and ISIS and all of those groups at that time. King's Son.
Guess who went away?
Yeah.
Guess who went away? Guess who we got next? Think about it. Before Biggie and the Wu-Tang, East Coast rappers wasn't cussing.
That's true.
I couldn't get on the radio either. Then they allowed it.
Yeah, but the culture wasn't cussing.
Right.
Hip hop was not calling women bitches. Absolutely not. You heard Queen Latifah, bam, I punched them dead in his face. They wasn't going for that. You was not calling sisters on the East Coast no bitch.
Right.
It wasn't happening. You wasn't on records talking about killing and selling drugs. You was talking, Most Def and them Black Star, they was talking about the black man is God. Build together. How we gonna come up? Chuck D inciting riots all the way to Arizona because they don't want to make fun of the King birthday holiday.
Burn Hollywood, burn. And even KRS-One came out with Criminal Minded and then evolved into something totally different with edutainment and stop the violence.
Philosophy, all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I mean, he caused me to stop eating beef when that Edutainment album came out and he had beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? I stopped eating beef after that.
So that's where hip hop was. So when I say they destroyed it, I mean not that they went out there to destroy it, because I know that's how people are going to take it. I mean that they came with the cussing, and the powers that be said, now, mind you, at this exact time, according to the internet, that's when this secret meeting about hip hop took place.
Mm-hmm.
So we just, whether it existed or not, let's just look at the timeline. And for a moment say, what if it did? So here's what we know. We know that Clive Davis commissioned the Harvard report on soul music. We know that exactly what that report says he implemented in hip hop. He bought them, and everybody else did too. So all these labels, we had all these independents and this voice that all got bought up. And then what happened to them? They got shelved. They were signing people and not putting them out. They was giving people advances and never releasing the records. So you got all these that went away, and what did they give us? They gave us Biggie, the Wu-Tang Clan, because that's what came out the gun. You had Craig Mack, who had a very good album.
Yeah.
But did it run out front? I would argue that that's where the money came from. The Flavor in Your remix was the star. Puff proved that he could get it done, and then he quickly put out Biggie and changed the whole game. Biggie's Ready to Die album, you can't play none of that on the radio. If it wasn't for the remixes, you can't. When I play that, my wife don't even realize that that's the same album. Like if you listen to the versus what was played on the radio, you don't even know that them two is the same. So we then had death and destruction became the attitude of the day. It became what they were promoting. And so when they started signing that up, you got a bunch of young dudes who's trying to look out how they can get out the street. Mm-hmm. Now all I got to do is tell the stories about what's going on in the neighborhood. So now you got everybody, Jay-Z, Biggie, Wu-Tang, all of them is promoting records that are telling you about selling drugs. And that's what's flooding our community. Now, at the time, my dad was saying, what's it going to do? And I said, they ain't going to do nothing. It didn't do nothing to us. I'm grown.
Right.
Look back now, take the last 23 years. You ain't heard but two positive records. One is by Kendrick Lamar, the other one's by J. Cole. But if you look at all the rest of the music this program is death and destruction.
Right.
And that's
especially now.
Especially now.
Yeah.
And now,
and to piggyback on what you were talking about on the record industry side, on our side, then you had President Bill Clinton signing the deregulation bill.
Right.
So once he signed that bill, then you had the opportunity for radio and television stations to be able to own more than one entity in a particular market.
Yes.
So then therefore that killed off the mom and pop radio stations. And now you have your conglomerates where they control all of the radio stations. So they control the playlist. They control, what DJs can play on the radio, unless you're a mixer right now, you can't play anything on the radio.
Mixers
so once Bill Clinton signed that,
they don't get that either.
It was a right. Yeah, some of them even get a list now. But once Bill Clinton signed that bill, that's what changed the game totally.
I think
along with what happened with the music.
Bill did us a justice and an injustice.
Yeah.
He did us a justice because if James Brown were alive, he'd be happy. Because, James was buying up his radio station. They wouldn't let him own two in the market. So James Brown would say it's a good thing. But you look, Kathy Hughes would say it's a great thing, because she then got to own, I guess she's like number one.
Yeah, but that's one individual.
One. Yeah.
That's just one.
But she has 300 stations or 50 stations, whatever it is.
If that is, and it's crazy because
I think she's at least in every major city, right?
No, she's not in New York. And she's not in LA.
She's in Atlanta. Let's go. She's in most secondary markets because it's more.
But that's just one owner compared to before the deregulation bill. You had more owners.
Yes, you had James Brown. You had all these. We had a bunch of. I used to go to Tyler, Texas. The radio station was in a trailer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You could go in there and get your record played. Like you had. So corporate radio, I would say, had a lot to do because now if you go back and look now, think about this. If we have the private prison industrial complex, the privatization of jails, and you're saying that record companies are now the word is record companies are investing in private jails. So now they have an interest in promoting negative music. That's what they're saying. I mean, Lazy Bone did a whole thing online about it, or Crazy, one of them, Crazy or Lazy. But the point is,
one of the bones.
People argue that the letter is not real. And that's the same argument that they gave us about Willie Lynch. And I keep trying to tell people we shouldn't focus on that. What we should focus on was the message real, was the content accurate. Yeah. Because they did invest in private jails. And so maybe they didn't push the music. Maybe the music naturally went that way. I find it hard to believe, but maybe it did. But see, then I have to say we have to take ownership because we don't have to give it to them. We don't have to go out there and act a fool for them. Just because my analogy is if you walk out your front door right now and it's 5 keys of heroin in front of your house, Lorenzo, what you gonna do with it? You gonna walk?
I mean, I'm not selling it. I'm not bringing it in my house. I had to think, do I call the cops? I don't know.
Right. The one thing I know you're not gonna do is you're not getting ready to come up. You're not getting ready to go.
Right. But I don't even know if I'm gonna call the cops. You know what I'm saying?
The point
is a suspicious package on my front door.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to promote the negativity just because it's in front of us. And then
right.
I kind of always say that we should hold Kathy Hughes and her son. We should take them to task because Radio 1, for all practical purposes, is black radio. And so if we can't convince black radio to take a stance, because I would love for the white stations that own black radio to take a stance, but I can't get to them. So the one black person that we have that owns the station, even if it is one, we have to have her hold a hard line. And she owns at least 30. She has to hold a hard line, but then she's going to tell me I can't compete, Tommy, because, they just going to turn and listen to Q94 or whatever. They're going to turn the station. So we have to agree as a people to support her so that she can not support the bullshit.
We don't even know what are the percentage of the radio stations she still owns. Is it 51%? Is it 51.49? But it is definitely.
I said that right there.
Yeah,
that right there.
Hold on,
I googled it. This is what I think it all ended. This is when it ended. This is when it ended for us. When we decided that call out research was better than people's ears.
Oh God! Don't.
How in the world you got me arguing with call out research? To me, straight up, call out research is some stuff that people who don't know music use to tell us what music is good.
Well, that's when they started bringing in the white consultants to program black radio.
How I got to get on? How Mary Catherine got to put my record on a list before anybody can play it? How is that?
No, that was her husband.
80 years old.
That was her husband, Alan Sneed.
How is it that
Jerry Clifton?
How is it that a white man, at least 50 years old, man or woman,
right,
50 years old, is going to decide the list and then say that's going to payola? What I would say is this to all those that's listening: it didn't end payola. It just got Mary Catherine paid. That's all it did. The money ain't changed. You think people stopped paying? Do you think that record companies decided that they're going to play fair and get on the list? Do you think they said, "Oh, we have to really go talk to Mary Catherine"? No. They said, Mary Catherine, what do it take to get on the list? And whatever she said, that's what they did. That's what time it was. So they sat up there and created this list, which really did nothing but create a plantation at black radio. Because you got one white consultant who don't even technically work for the company, gathering all the money that used to be, if it existed, used to be passed out amongst DJs. It was down here at the bottom. The money was down at the bottom. It went to the top and never trickled down. It was like Reaganomics. It never trickled down.
Right.
It stayed up there. You had her making a list that decided what we're going to listen to.
So, we says hide and hurt. So somebody bigger than hurt.
Okay. Well, who, huh?
Who, huh?
Who? We don't work for them anymore, huh? Come on.
All I can say is this. I don't know who controls the list. I don't know how the list came, but the list they claim was dominated by call-out research. All I'm saying is that, Lorenzo, do you have ears? Do you got two ears?
And I had ears. And when I worked at a radio station where I had the power to play what I thought was a hit, I would play it. I would buck the system.
Once you take that away.
And I fought the white consultants. Trust me. But I had a program director who had my back when I was in that position. So look, hey, you better be right on this record. I said, I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to trust my ears. And fought hard for particular records because they saw that we had too much power, too much control. And it goes back to Power 93 when I was with me. You know, when I had the Powerhouse Party, I keep bringing that up, and I mentioned that from show to show. But I had the power to play whatever I wanted to play on that particular show. So when they saw that I had the power, when they saw I was getting platinum plaques, when I was just doing overnight, but had a 4-hour show on a Saturday night and could play whatever I wanted to play. After a while, they said, okay, this guy has a little bit too much power. We have to take this show away from him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was the case there. And when I was in Baltimore, we had control of what we wanted to play, what we wanted to do. But then they saw that, okay, these guys have too much power. You know what I mean? What you need? You come into my office. When we were sitting there, what you need, Fat Thomi? Okay, you need 5 spins? I got you, bro. Right. Hey, they're going to be overnight. You know what I mean? And then I'll move it in the regular. But it was all about the relationship. You know what I mean? And if it was whack, I'll tell you it was whack. You know what I mean? But if I need to help you out, I'd help you out. That's too much power. And when they saw they had too much power, that's when they had to bring in the consultants.
I understood the overnights. I cut my teeth with the overnights because, you know, I could get them. They could give me a spin an hour between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. at 2 to 6 a.m.
an hour.
I could get, you talking about on a weekend. So now all I'm required to get as the mix show is 2. One Friday night, one Saturday night at all my stations. But not only am I getting the 2 during the mix show, I'm hollering at the overnight guys and I'm catching 2 more between 4 and 6. So I'm delivering 4 spins because I know how.
But the difference on the mix shows, yes, but the music director would really have the power to be able to program those songs during those hours. And that's the power that Eric and I had, you know, at those times. So whereas, okay, that time when you come into the office, what you need, we got you. We're going to put them in these spots. And that at one point became too much power for the people that were in the suits.
Yes, when they got rid of Eric Lee,
so they had to take that power away from us.
I literally cried when Eric left. I cried because I knew it was going to be, it wasn't going to be good. I mean, call out research, lists, all of that is control mechanisms that we don't need, that destroy. Because now, when you tell me, did they purposefully bring drill music and promote death? I would go yes, because they're the ones. If they have a list and they're putting death on the list, then I can blame them. You know what I'm saying? I can blame the person who creates the list for doing that. I jokingly, this was a joke. You know, I tell some good jokes. I said that to bring up Young Thugger, just to shift a little bit, they charged him with a RICO statute, right? And my students argue that he should be free, just on a side note. But I argue that if the prosecuting attorney wants to set the tone and say she's really doing something and she's trying to clean up hip hop, she should have charged the owners, because Young Thug didn't shoot the video. He didn't pay for the video. He didn't pay for the studio time. So when you start looking at a RICO charge, we're talking about a RICO charge.
Kevin and Leor?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, wait. I watched the trial. Kevin Lyle said this on the stand.
I saw it.
My money is his money. He was a little kid when I met him. I helped him set up the label. I would vouch for him. I'll put up my own $1 million to let him out. If he was anywhere else in America and he came into Southside Richmond and told the judge that Fat Thomi's money, I'm there on a RICO charge, and he say, Fat Thomi's money is my money, the judge would say, bailiff, take him into custody. He just said his money. That means you are part. She's saying it's a RICO charge. That means that they all conspired. So who distributed the record? Who distributed the video? Who shot the video? You saying they not comparable at all? Like Young Thugger wouldn't be a star if it wasn't for them. He said it on the stand. So if he made him a star, and YSL didn't exist before he was signed. So now the gang that y'all saying didn't exist before he had a record deal. If I was his lawyer, I would tell him to go in there and do like dude did in New Jack City. This is bigger than me. I ain't the man. I am a
He's the man.
And he said it. No one wants to have a conversation about are the record companies culpable at all. Because if they're paying you to talk about killing people, then they're inciting you. It's like it's you hiring a hitman. If I hire you to kill my cousin, then you get charged. So if I hire you to make a record about killing my cousin, and then I charge you, then why don't you get charged with, I hired you to put out the record. I paid you to put out that record. I paid you to put out that record. Several of them.
Boy, you're bringing a whole lot of knowledge in there and making people think.
Well, I think if I was in Atlanta and I was really trying to make a change, to me, picking up Young Thugger is like picking up one of the corner boys. Like you picked up the dude that's on the corner. He ain't the one. Picking up Young Thugger, when you have a man telling you that they made millions off of his product, at least bring him in. Bring Leor and call Leor in and make him justify how he didn't hear. So you let them record a record about a murder. That's what you did. You did that. And then you paid for it. And then you shot a video to it. And then we arrest him. And you made all the money, mind you, because 90% of the money went to the label.
Goes to the label.
So if you want to trace the money, which is what a RICO charge is supposed to do, the RICO charge, these is the little workers, but the RICO charge is supposed to get to the end game. You know, they want John Gotti. Thugger ain't Gotti. Them boys ain't Gotti.
Right.
They some victims. So back to the record business. Where we
No.
It's all part of it.
You just you've been hinting at it a couple of times. So let's talk about it. You talked about your students. Now, you say, well, how does he have students? As much as we've been bumping our gums talking about the music industry and the fun things and the crazy things, you are an adjunct professor.
Yes, sir.
At Virginia Commonwealth University.
Yes, sir.
VCU.
Yes,
and
sir.
you are teaching hip hop.
Yes, sir. And I never went to college.
And he never went to college.
Never went to college.
Now, for the folks, the show is running long tonight, but we got good content. And so we're going to keep rocking if it's good with you guys. Tommy, Lorenzo and I went to Virginia State University.
Okay.
Tommy lives in Petersburg, where our college, our HBCU was or is. Yeah. And we love our HBCU. Yes, BSU all day. That's how we ride. However, Tommy is a good friend of mine, so we have conversations. Tommy is at a predominantly white institute teaching hip hop. Yes. But there was an opportunity for him to do this at my beloved alma mater.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So
Tommy wrote the curriculum.
I wrote the curriculum. The way I got to VCU is I wrote a curriculum for Virginia State. The curriculum was born. I looked at Virginia State. I looked at the fact that they had a radio station, and I wrote a curriculum based on what I did in the business and said, this is what we need. I wrote it, delivered it to Virginia State, begged them to hire me. Begged for 7 years. From 2007 to 2014, I begged. I went through 2 deans and 3 presidents. And, every one of them made wonderful promises. The last one, Medulla, it's not really him, but it's Dr. Palm and Kawachi. I sat with them, told them everything I did, presented it to them. Now, they constantly told me they were going to hire me. They never did. This went on for about 3 years. So my daughter runs track, so we work out at Virginia State. So the coach comes up to me and says, hey, we want your daughter to bring the team out on the field, for homecoming. So I go, cool. So, my daughter runs out on the field because she practices there. She brings them out on the field. So we sitting down watching the game. Abdullah comes over to take a picture with my daughter. And he goes, hi, you're her father? I said, yeah, Thomas said. He said, pleased to meet you. I said, I can't tell. He said, what you mean? I said, I done called your office 10 times. I wrote a curriculum for hip hop. I've been trying to get here for the last 5 years. And he said, what? Let me get Dr. Palm over here. He calls Dr. Palm. Dr. Palm comes over. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Long story short, nothing happened. So I'm sitting at home and I said, I'm going to send this to every university in the state of Virginia. I'm going to do it like I did my resume when I was trying to get a job at a record company. I just sent it to them all. Mm-hmm. So I sent it to every university, and 3 responded within an hour. The president of the University of Richmond wrote me a beautiful letter, a page-long email telling me how wonderful the curriculum was, but it wasn't for them. He said, but we ain't doing it over here. That's what the University of Richmond said. And no, I appreciate that, because I tell people all the time, a quick no sometimes is better than a yes that take 3 months.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I could have did so much. So UVA says they're interested, and they tell me to call this dude. This dude is the doctor of hip hop. He did an album for his dysentery.
Wow.
So I knew he wasn't going to hire me. I called and talked to him on the phone, and when I talked to him and we talked about my resume, I knew when he hung up the phone, he was saying, I'm not bringing this dude here. Like,
take my job.
My gut told me that it wasn't going to work.
Right.
VCU called me and said, can we meet this week? They sent an email right back. Hey, great idea. Can we meet this week? I go over there. I meet with him on a Tuesday, the following Tuesday. We meet on Tuesday. He then says, let me bring in the accreditation people, because I tell them, I've had this problem at Virginia State because I haven't been to college. So it's a hurdle trying to get me to teach when I've never been to college. So he says, let me bring in accreditation. So accreditation comes in. We meet. They ask me for my resume. I give him my resume, bio, discography. I give it to him. He says, give me 2 weeks. We come back in 2 weeks. He said, you can teach. I got you approved, So I want to know, why? How is it so easy? So here's the things that in the defense of Virginia State. A lot of times, Black institutions or Black people in general are put under the microscope. So we know in America, white people can do stuff that Black people can't do. Okay?
Facts.
That's
Facts.
just what it is.
So
it's never been a personal issue with me. But when I asked what the deal was, I learned this, that I can teach anywhere in America. All you have to do, the only thing they did was create a file on me, put my resume in it, and then justify in writing why I am qualified. What they did was they wrote it and said, we believe that he has a master's equivalent through his work experience.
Based on his work experience.
They wrote a letter to justify that. So now
they wrote the letter?
Yeah. VCU wrote the letter, put it in my file. So now I tell Virginia State, so I go back to Virginia State and go, look, I done taught at VCU 2 semesters. This should be a no-brainer because it's the same accreditation organization. Like, they're both state schools.
Right.
Virginia State, VCU, it's called a historically Black college. We don't have no Black colleges. They're mostly state-run unless they're private. VCU, Norfolk State, those are state colleges.
Right.
So Virginia State being a state college is accredited the same way VCU is. So the people at at Virginia State tell me, can you get me a copy of the letter so I can see what they did? So I go to VCU and say, yo, they want a copy of the letter. They look at me and say, I ain't giving nobody no letter so they can steal you away from me. I'm not doing it. And I said, well, just tell me what it is. What's so tricky about the letter? And then he explains to me nothing. They just got to justify it. So I surmise these are just my own thoughts. I either say they don't want to stand the microscope, because when they come to check your accreditation, they look and then they pull up and say, oh, this dude doesn't have a degree. Why is he? So then they would have to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
They either didn't want to take the time to justify it because they were just going to copy the letter that I gave them from VCU. So that's what that made me think, number one.
Right.
Number two, they think that the microscope is different that VCU is under. You know, VCU has a lot going for itself. You know, it's a top school in the state. So they're allowed to do things like Harvard. You know, all these people are allowed to do things because they operate like me from greatness. They're not humble. You know what I'm saying? Our HBCUs are humble. When you go meet people on campus, the professors, they're humble. They're nurturing. They love our students. They ain't that over there. They're aggressive. They're pushing. They're non-caring. You know what I'm saying? And when you have those aspects, you can do that because they're saying we're good. They're saying we can hire Tommy because we don't care what you say. We're going to stand up and back up our talk.
Right.
We have a problem with that sometimes, and not just Black institutions, just in general. We get scared to put people in position because we can't stand the smoke. See, I look for the smoke. I take the money. I took all my money at the record company. Guess where I spent the majority of it? In Richmond.
Okay.
In Richmond. This is why I don't love Richmond. I paid more. I spread the funds around in Richmond more than anywhere else in the country. And when I left Arrowster and came there, people were saying he went from Hollywood to Wood. When I came to Richmond and I told all the DJs, look, we should form a coalition. This is what everybody doing. I say let's make the Mid-Atlantic. Get me Norfolk, Richmond, Greensboro right now. Here's how it went. Please call Polo and them up. Polo and them in the Carolinas said, we got you. Let's form the coalition. I talked to Virginia. They said, we got you. I get to Carolina. They say, Tommy, Virginia said they ain't doing it. What? I just left them. Man, they fronting. They ain't doing it. Richmond, I start calling Virginia. Ain't nobody returning my call. So I'm no longer at Arrowster. So they treat me like, you know, you ain't no longer at Arrowster. Y'all know you ain't there no more. You can't get the callbacks. Right. But I'm from Richmond. Yeah, I'm from Richmond. You talking about I'm at home. These DJs used to DJ in the club for me. Some of these DJs never got $500 till they got it from me. Okay, never seen $500 till they got it from me. They wouldn't have got the records till they got them from me. People used to tell me I'm giving way too many records away in Richmond. I gave Richmond everything. They wouldn't back me for a coalition. Carolina said we ain't as strong without Virginia. It's like a Carolina thing, so we're going to rock it down. They went with Charlotte, and I can't fault them, you know, Polo and them. And everybody, you know, you got, I think Lonnie became a big dog. He joined Flexes, you know, they all.
Heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters, street sweepers, you know, everybody joined a New York thing when we had an opportunity to have our own thing. So now exactly what I told them was going to happen. Y'all ain't going to have no power. Now y'all going to play the records they tell you to play. Right. I was trying to have a form of coalition so we could still have some say in what records we play. In Richmond, they don't have no say. They can't play the records they want to play. They play the records that they told to play.
Wow. So let's get back to VCU and your experience and what you're teaching, because I think it was when we had a conversation about it. It was remarkable or the curriculum that you had in place. One of the big things in Atlanta, I think it was Jeezy and Rick Ross. They both had orchestras playing their music. I mean, full orchestra, and it sold out every time. And tell the audience that are checking us out right now, what you're doing with the students, how you are treating the university and giving them opportunities, not only from the record side, but the musician and publishing and legal side. How does all that work?
So 5 semesters ago, I saw Nas do it. When I saw Nas do it, he did it with the New York Symphony. So I'm at VCU. I'm in the School of the Arts. The School of the Arts, we have an orchestra, we have a jazz band, we have a symphony, and we have an orchestra. So I met with the instructors and said, look, well, first I brought hip hop there. So I'm like really one of the cool instructors. Everybody over there is mad cool. I wanted to do a jazz, because if you take Tribe Called Quest, for example, that's like practically a jazz album.
Right.
So getting a jazz band involved with that was an easy sell. I told them what I wanted to do was do a symphonic recording with an orchestra and have a student-run label. So I'm trying to get them to start, and they're leaning towards starting a student-run label. And in the student-run label, I want to record symphony recordings of, the records I wrote in particularly, but of hip-hop for a couple of reasons. Because hip-hop now is the dominant music on everywhere. There's pop, popular music is now hip-hop. So why the first top 10 pop records should all be hip-hop? Because pop stands for popular. There's no more music that's more popular than hip-hop. So I don't know how the top 10 pop records, they somehow twisted it. So for those that don't know, and I'm sure the world knows, pop is just white music now. And it has nothing to do with popularity, because then we'd have hip-hop records would be the top 10. Right. That's just the way urban music. When you hear people say urban and you're in these meetings, they want to say nigga. When I'm in the meetings and I'm listening to them talk, I'm saying to myself, they just want to say niggas. They don't want to say niggas, so they call it urban. They call us urban in the movie, in the meetings, and then we go for it. The biggest problem that I saw in the music industry was lack of blackness, lack of black men. And yes, we had black men there, but we didn't have black men who appreciated their blackness and who wasn't scared to stand up to white folks. I think what happens is this. This is what happens. What happens is when you go to a record company and they give you $250,000, $150,000, an expense account that's $100,000, and then let you live. If you like me, you learn to live off of your expenses and save your check. Right. So, I wasn't cashing my checks. I was living off of a credit card.
Right.
So when I left Arista, my famous line is, I ate before Arista, I'll eat after Arista. I drew a line at what I would and would not do. Now, mind you, they then told me to get the fuck out. and immediately, that day, like, this ain't no, we're not carrying this on. You got to leave now. Damn. But we needed at least 5 more of me, and there were some that were like me, but we weren't. I think the biggest problem that we have as an industry is we used to have the Black Programmers Coalition. We had Jack the Rapper. These conventions passed knowledge down. How Can I Be Down was dope as shit, but there was no knowledge given. I went to conventions. There was more. How Can I Be Down was
shout out to Peter Thomas.
It was more about partying than it was. And if you look at the Harvard report says, invest in the conventions, subsidize them so you can own them. It's right in the book. That's what they did.
Right.
So now,
and they you're right, because I remember
all the labels controlled How Can I Be Down. So if you don't get a check from Arista, you don't get a check from Warner Brothers, you don't have a convention.
Urban Network.
You know what I'm saying? So all of those things, they controlled all of them, and now they're all
Impact.
BRE, Impact, the
Urban
college
Network.
report, all of those things are gone.
I cussed you out too, Urban Network. Tommy picked me up in a convertible BMW, and I swear we probably did 100 the whole time with the top down, going where were we?
Go. I'm gonna tell you.
From LA to Palm Springs.
We were going to Palm Springs. We running about 100.
Vegas. Well, I thought we went to Vegas.
No, this was the Urban Network. You picked me up from LAX. We rode up to.
Here's the thing. Wait, Eric, do you remember
that BMW?
Yes, but wait. I was really doing about 120, but look, the police got in front of us and was zigzagging across the lane. Remember, he turned on all his lights.
He zigzagged,
like to tell us to slow down. There was a sharp. We was on a mountain, and we was about to hit a sharp right before we were going to Vegas. Right before you go into Vegas, you have to go up the mountain. So you go, it's a straight shot, right? And you can fly. And then at the very end, it's a curve and you start into the mountain. Well, the cop just started going in 6 lanes. He going back and forth with his lights on. And I slow down. I go, what's he doing? I never seen that before. And then we go and we turn. And I'm like, wow, we would have drove. Me and Aaron would have died that day.
I threatened to drop all of his records.
Yes, he did. He said, if you don't slow this car down,
I said, if you don't slow this, I'm dropping all the records. Tell that to your boss. That's when you was working for Warner. Tell that to AD.
Yes. He threatened.
That's hilarious.
So those were like it was a fun time.
It was a great time. It was a great time for radio.
Great time. And what happens is the world is masters at separating wisdom from knowledge. Okay.
Say that again.
Our oppressor is very talented at separating wisdom from knowledge in every genre. Now follow me on this one.
Yes, I'm with you.
White rock bands become A&R directors. You know, that's what happens to them. All of them get jobs. KRS-One ain't no A&R. Rakim ain't no A&R. None of our most talented people, and that's because they don't want them to pass on the knowledge of how they got screwed. Look at the NBA. We just now getting black coaches and stuff because that's the knowledge. See, if you don't have
black general managers, right?
Right. If you don't have an old head there that can tell you, hey, don't do that because this is where the bullshit is. If you don't have that, when you get there, you got to start from ground zero. Right. That's why if you look, they got rid of everybody from the 90s. So ain't no wisdom there. So all these dudes that come up, they don't have a me. They don't have a parish. They don't have somebody that's going to pull them to the side and say, yo, these is where the tricks is at. When you get to the NBA, they do have Dr. J, but they don't have Dr. J whispering in Allen Iverson's ear going, yo, you might not want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's separating the knowledge. When we have shelf lives, you know what I'm saying? There is a shelf life for a black executive in everything. Like AD, I was fortunate to work under AD. When I left and went to Lionel and worked for Lionel, I remember when I was talking to AD and I said, you know, I was at Arista and I didn't learn nothing. And AD said, a man can't teach you what he don't know. So that, it wasn't a slight to anybody. It was that if you haven't been here long enough, like I'm just now learning what I knew. You know what I'm saying? Because first I'm living it. Everything is happening in real time. I seem very wise now, but I didn't know this then. It requires reflection. It requires growth. So now I have the wisdom to share with people. You think a record company will hire me now? Absolutely not, because they don't want me to tell Young Thugger that he could do something better than that. They don't want me saying, yo, the formula is you need a song for the weed heads. You need a song for the girls. You need a song to dance to. You need a song to grind to. You need a song to make babies to. That's what they're not telling people. They telling them drill, 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 drill. They're not even giving them the science behind how to make a record. They don't have Outkast in them. Outkast should be Organized Noise should be an A&R director. Jazzy Faye should be an A&R director. These dudes ain't A&R directors. Look who's left, and if you ever want to know who a sellout is, look who's left in the industry that you are considering sellouts are in. Whoever you want to see who is not scared to take a bag and get rid of their people. I don't care what industry you pick. You can pick the fire department, the police department. When they do the cleanups, the people that left is usually the people that sold out. When they get rid of, because they don't get rid of the shucking and jiving Negroes. They don't get rid of the dudes who will say, I'm going to do to them what you did to me. They don't get rid of the dudes that's going to turn out our young girls and have them taking off their clothes. They're going to get rid of the people who say, girl, you ain't got to take off all that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going to say, not for every record. Come with something sexy. Give them some imagination. They're not going to have them. Right. They're going to have the dudes that sleep with the young girls. I mean, no diss to Puff, but he dating a city girl. She like 20-something. For real? Like really, if you came home with one of the city girls, any one of us at Thanksgiving show up at the house with the city girl, our parents gonna think something wrong with us.
Yeah.
Right.
If you dating a chick that your son is dating, that's problematic.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Damn.
These people that are left in charge, if you look at them, from my aspect, this is just me, I think we have some of the biggest coons left. The stuff they're doing is buffoonery and coonery.
Yeah.
And no one is calling them to task on it. because we now so much about the bag that if cooning get you a bag, then that's what happens. Let's coon. Let's coon, man, because we getting a bag. I might be a coon, but I'm rich. You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of them faked it until they were able to make it, and are still faking it in those positions.
Well, what the truth is this. This is what the truth is. The truth is they're not making the money they profess to have, and if they go home, street niggas gonna know they broke. That's really what it was. The reason why I could matriculate through the clubs is because, look, I used to go to Magic City, right? I could go to Magic City. You know why reps didn't go to Magic City? They didn't take American Express. So if you go to Magic City, you can't ball out at Magic City if you only got an American Express.
Okay.
If you're going to ball out in the club and you think you really calling shots, then nigga, what your pockets really like? That ain't your money. That's record company money. When you go to Magic City, that's your money. So when you go to Magic City, they sitting like this. You know what I'm saying? They got one drink. They not popping bottles. Now, if they leave Magic City. You
got the chat room cracking up right now.
Because I know all them fake Negroes. I worked with them. Y'all acting like y'all something because y'all could buy a bottle. Let's show up in Magic City. We're going to go in Magic City and let's see who buying bottles now. Now who buying bottles? Because he don't take no credit cards. Back in the day, he probably take them now. But what y'all do?
They do now.
Right. So
high
now
percentage.
you running around and you balling with your expense account. So you got daddy's money. So you got to do what daddy say. The reason I didn't have that problem because I got my records played and I always ate. I ate. I'm eating now. Roman noodles, but I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? I'm eating ramen, but I'm eating. Look at it this way. If you was making $250,000 last year, right?
Right.
And you went and bought a new car and a house, you can't quit. So when masters tell you to do something, you got to do it because you don't know how you're going to make your mortgage. And then you're going to go home a failure. You're going to have to leave New York. You're going to have to go back to Petersburg or to Martinsville or wherever you from. And they're going to say, oh, you was big time last week. They're going to say what they said to me. You went from Hollywood to Wood. That's what they say. So if you can't stomach that, you'd rather sit up there and sell your integrity. See, I can go home and tell them Hollywood didn't make me Hollywood. I was Hollywood before
I got there. Right.
I was always a star. Ask anybody to know me. I've been cool my whole life. The record company didn't make me cool. The record company didn't make me get chicks. That's not how I got girls. You got dudes who use their position for
that.
They use their position and their talent for dates.
And some of them don't even have the talent.
Right. Girls not dating dudes without that. You know what I'm saying? Like you using that to trick them into doing stuff.
Right.
That's what you're doing. You ain't no player for real.
All right. Hey,
and it is tricking if you got it.
Hey, Tom, there's one thing we hadn't covered is the fact that you not only did it and did it well in hip hop and R&B, but you rock that country stuff.
My man, Michael Knight.
Michael Knight, we got to talk about him.
So
we're running long, but we got to talk about him because it's important that this guy sought you out because of your talent. And talk about this dude.
Here's the crazy thing. I met Michael Knight. I had an artist, Antoinette. I owned a label. I went out to Universal to meet with one of them subsidiaries of Universal. You know, they were going to give me a distribution deal. They wanted me to put $50,000 in the escrow account for my distribution. And I was about that and was going to do it, but the way the contract was drawn up, they was going to have too much access to my $50,000 because the $50,000 was just to be able to prove I could promote the record and I had money. And I didn't have a problem with that because I told them if I can't even remember. The day of the meeting, I had 20 stacks with me in my pocket. And I had just spent $1,000 on a haircut because we flew into town. Me and my homeboy flew into town.
What you need a haircut for?
Huh?
What you need a haircut for?
This is 2007. I had braids, so I had to get a lineup. So I get to LA and I got a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
My plane lands at midnight. We party. I need a haircut. I call dude. He says he's gonna send somebody to my room. He sends somebody to my room. They get there at 2 o'clock in the morning to cut my hair. I'm there with a homeboy of mine, and he done ordered entertainment. So we got the entertainment shows up, and she says, I got to make a call. She makes the call, and she starts drinking. So in 30 minutes, my phone rings. I answer the phone, and they say, that's the first 30 minutes, you owe $300. I said, hold it. I was getting a haircut, you know? So I call the concierge desk, and I go, look, we order entertainment, and they saying the clock start as soon as she get here. Nobody told us that till after the 30 minutes is up. So I'm saying I ain't gonna pay her this $300. What should we do? He said, you gonna have to leave LA if you carry it like that. Said, okay. So we pay her the $300. It is what it is. So dude cuts my hair, cuts my man's hair. And so then I said, what is it? $100. And back then I would pay $50 to $100 to get a haircut in the office. When you came, I didn't used to go into LA. The barber came to my office. Same way in New York. I didn't go to Brooklyn.
Big dog.
So dude looks at me and says, you at the Argyle on Sunset in a suite, right? He said, so he counting now. He's saying the room is at least 2,000. I watched you give a bitch $300 just to drink your liquor. All you do is come in here, drink your liquor, and give you $300. I came from Inglewood. Nigga, he said, nigga, I came from Inglewood at 2 in the morning. And you gonna try to give me $100? I said, you right. What we owe? He said $400 a piece. I said 400. He said, well, let's do the math. If you gave her $300 and she drank $100 worth of liquor, that's like 400. I've been here longer than her. So I'm thinking I'm worth at least that. I look at my man, we laugh and tip him $100. We paid $1,000. We got 2 haircuts at 2 in the morning so we could be fresh for the meeting at Universal. So that's how I was balling in the early 2000s. So I get this, I leave there because the distribution deal don't look right on paper. I read it, and I tell everybody this. It don't matter what anybody's saying in a record company meeting. You can just close your ears to that because none of that means nothing. All you need to do is read the paper. I always say, sound good, just let me see it on paper. Let me see what the paper looks like. That's not, every time I'm in the meeting, sounds great, we're going to do this, let me see the paper. It don't never come back on paper the way it was in the meeting.
That's right.
So what happens is they sell you on what they're going to give you, and then we buy into, ooh, we want it so bad. Same way with artists. We want it so bad that we sign knowing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say most people know the deal is fucked up when they sign it. But they don't want to go back home. Right. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to. And then when you put a video out, you can't go get a job after that. Like you're going to go home and work at Burger King after you had a video in the top 5. So now they kind of own you. So now you're running around saying you're rich and you can't come around your friends because you're not rich. So you can't buy them stuff. You got record company people spending on you. You got an outfit. I watch them. Y'all change outfits 2 times. You got 2 outfits with you on the road. You got 1 chain. It may or may not be real. So now you don't really have this money. The cars the record company is paying for. So now I leave Los Angeles. I'm at the airport and I run into a cowboy. Right, this dude got a San Antonio Spurs jersey, I think, a San Antonio jersey, a cowboy hat, and he telling me he's a rapper. And I'm going, well, spit something. He said, we're in the airport. He got a Pelly Pell jacket on, a fitted jersey, and a cowboy hat. And he says, look, I've been out here in LA. Fuck LA. I'm going to start my own shit. I'm going to create country rap. I'm going to be a country rapper. He leaves. I go and look for him my whole life on MySpace. I'm trying to find him. Fast forward to 2014, Roots called me and say, I got a dude on the phone, Eric out of Tennessee. White boy named E1, Eric out of Tennessee. He tells me he manages a dude named Jelly Roll. You want me to look at Jelly Roll? I look at Jelly Roll. He a rapper, it's like, yeah, he dope, whatever. He says, nah, that ain't it. I fuck with this dude, Michael Knight. He is shit, man. This dude is selling millions of records. So I say, okay, set up the call. So he sets up a call with me and Michael Knight. Michael Knight looked me up, whatever, knew that I was a hip hop promoter, and he says, "Look, I'm selling more records than anybody you know." He said, "I'm selling 30,000 records a month out the trunk. You know, I got 50 Cowboys. You got to come and see it. When can you come to Tennessee? You know me. When you send me a plane ticket." He said, "Okay, I'll call you back." The next morning, he calls me and say, "Can you be here Thursday?" I said, "You bought a ticket?" He said, "Yeah, I want to know if you can do it Thursday." I said, "I can do it Thursday." So I talked to him on Tuesday night at midnight. He called me Wednesday. He fly me to Tennessee on Thursday. I get to Tennessee. They got 2 tour buses and about 20 vans wrapped with this cowboy on it. A giant office, a recording studio. The studio that he has was what's the dude from Tennessee? Young Buck. Which one of them? Which one of the ones is from Tennessee? Young Buck is from Nashville. One of them, whichever rapper.
Ones that rolled with 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't it Young Buck?
I'm thinking, I don't know. But if he's from Nashville, it's the black rapper from Nashville. I'm terrible. I only remember the rappers I work, by the way. If you ask me anything about the rappers I work, I get their names right. Everybody else, I'm just a fan, so I
Edwin will let us know in a second.
Because Edwin is on top of this.
So it's a rapper from Nashville.
He's Googling it right now.
Mike bought the studio. The Cowboy bought the studio, and now he owns the studio. And he has this dude named Kevin Grisham, Devin. I call him Devonshire. Devastation was his name. He just did a record on oh man, I can't call the girl's name. He just did one of them great pop records. But at any rate, I fly to Nashville, and you can see it on Viceland. It's on Viceland, Naughty Nashville. I go down there, I meet him, Cowboy. He's a rapper. He's telling me that he invented this thing called country rap. I've never heard of it. You know, so he's giving me the history, telling me about it. And then he's telling me, look, it's selling all these records. And my plan is to do what you did in the 90s. All I want, I got a street team. Only my street team sells the music. And I was like, well, I did too, kind of. You know, I was selling the CDs. I remember, on a side note, they sent me 300 Biggie CDs to give away. First thing I did was call the label and say, man, I wasn't home. They got my FedEx. So they sent me 300 more. I got 600 Biggie CDs. 600 Biggie CDs. That's $6,000. That's $6,000. I put them straight to work. I'm selling them. You know, they got holes punched in the black folks. Don't care nothing about holes punched in the back of the
head. Don't call us.
I think I would dare to say that most people on the way I knew whether or not your record was hot for real.
Tony said he had some too.
If I could sell it,
Sean said Young Buck.
Young Buck.
Mm-hmm. If I couldn't sell it, it won't hot. You know what I'm saying? The records, you gotta think. If somebody send you 300 Ready to Die and then back it up with 300 more, just tell me, who in their right mind gonna get them away? Who gives them away?
Right.
Yeah, I gave one to the DJs that played my record, the security guards at the club that always let me in free,
right,
and the club owners. That's like 10 CDs. The other 550, I took the loot. You know, give it a loot. I come off at Artie's. You know,
a bad boy.
Bad boy.
You know, I get him some, but the majority of that, I just sold it straight up. I paid my rent off a product.
Could you imagine if we had that mentality with all the records we had as a music director?
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, I'm scared now. I've got probably about 1,000, 1,200 CDs, and I'm digitizing them and doing some stuff. I said, what am I doing with them? One of my friends, they sell them. I was like, they got promotional use only on it. They're like this.
Look,
they're like this, dude. That was back in the 90s. I was like,
got a point. eBay.
As a matter of fact, I would argue that they worth more because they were out before they was out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more valuable. It's a promotional copy. This ain't no, you can't buy this in the store. This was never in the store. This is a promo copy here.
That's what I'm talking about.
I would argue
the right mentality.
He said I would argue.
What Mike did.
Hey, Fat Thomi. So what do you think I could get for this right here?
Man, I'll buy that.
It's still in the pack. It hasn't been open.
I'll buy that from you right now. I would dare to say I'd pay $100 for it right now.
And I got a shout out on the back of this too.
I would pay $100 for that. What I would like to have is all the records that I worked on wax. Because Outkast always did an instrumental and acapella album. So if you go back, you can find Outkast albums, one side's instrumental, one side's acapella on all their albums. They always did an acapella and instrumental. Right. I'd like to have those. My Goody Mob albums. I'd like to have the albums because I'm going to buy a turntable again. Right. I'm going back because it sounds. I don't like the fact that the 25th anniversary they cleaned up the Wu-Tang. I'm mad at that. I'm mad that they.
I have a big L CD in the plastic.
Yeah,
never open the album.
I'll take that. What I'm gonna do is when I'm in Florida, I'm gonna just come by.
I don't know if these are for sale. I don't know if these are for sale, but I know I'm trying to get rid of my comic books and my baseball cards first. I got to work on that now. I'm trying to get them for sale.
Hey,
everything is for sale. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
If I come to Miami, you're gonna have to prove to me it ain't for sale. I'm be like, yo, you take this for it.
What about you? You up on the baseball cards and the comic book game?
Nah, I had my friend John Duckett was the baseball card king. I never liked baseball cards. I mean, I had some Michael Jordan cards. I never collected stuff like that. I didn't even.
I got a Mickey Mantle from 1957.
Oh well, some of my people from West Haven to find out who won. You know who will buy them? You should go to the Pickers in Tennessee. That dude, they buy that stuff. That stuff.
Yeah. I just want to make sure the one from 52 is the one that's most valuable. That's like worth millions.
All right. Well, we ain't getting no younger. Can't tell you what you. leave it for the baby. Hey, John, I
can't shortchange my man Michael Knight because what he's doing is history in the making. Because at one time at our peak, we had 6 tour buses, 30 vans, and 30 times 3 is 90. 90 cowboys out selling all day long, getting $10. When COVID started, we doubled the price. We started selling CDs for $20. Like it's kids out right now. Michael Knight is selling every bit of 10,000 CDs a month right now. Right now, every month. Like he got a crew of people that's out there selling. So he really
they actually selling CDs in jewel boxes.
CDs in jewel boxes, absolutely.
You can't even go to Target and find those.
Well, here's the thing that we don't know. We feel that way because we're on the East Coast.
Right.
If you're not on the East Coast or in Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Antonio, or Phoenix, you're in the country. I've been places in America right now that don't have good cell service. I've seen arrows of not a Blockbusters. I've seen a Blockbusters in West Virginia still in existence that said 2-for-1 video rental. Okay, so I know here on the East Coast and the West Coast we think, but here's the thing. In order to download and stream music, you have to have a couple of things. You have to have a phone, okay? I know we got them, but in parts of rural America, everybody ain't got a phone. You have to have a credit card. In rural America, everybody ain't got a credit card. You have to have service. Don't forget that. We got great. I saw today Xfinity coming out with 10G. We got 10G coming. Not so much in West Virginia, in Ohio, in Wisconsin, in Wyoming, and all of these people listen to country rappers, So what his logic was this. He said that he learned that every country bar plays hip hop after midnight.
They do.
So he decided, remember the Crystal Pistol out there in Henrico, they used to play hip hop music after midnight. So he determined that white people would like to see somebody like themselves rapping. Right. So he put on a cowboy hat because he was from Texas anyway, from San Antonio. So he put a cowboy hat on and started rapping. And he did it so much that now you got a Little Nas X. They did a gap evaluation. We were in talking. Joel Capps was my attorney. He was representing us. We went up to meet with L.A. Reid, Monty Lipman, and Doug Morris. We were trying to get, it came down that they wanted to do a gap evaluation. We had a gap, that's the accounting, general accounting practices evaluation to prove how much the company was worth. When it was done, it came out that it was worth $300 million, right? So we were talking $300 million. Now, I was told that I was going to get a private jet to fly me up to meet with LA. I was told this. I got the call on Wednesday. They said we're doing it Friday. Thursday, LA gets fired. I call AD up and I say, AD, man, because AD is talking me through the whole deal, get me to remain calm. I'm not running around freaking out. It's just it's $300 million on the table. This is life changing. I remember Joel telling me this is for his grandkids. He's doing this deal for his grandkids. Well, what then happens is LA.
Thank you, Huck. General accounting principles.
LA gets fired, and I call AD and say, man, what happened? He said, well, I know this for sure. They didn't fire him for them girls. He said, how do you know they didn't fire him because he's trying to transfer that kind of money? You can't just start transferring that kind of money. They was about to give y'all $50 million. The signing deal was going to be $50 million. And he said they wasn't going, and they was talking that big boy shit that black people were going to change because they real racist in Nashville with their country music. I know now they trying to act black, but if you was there in 2014, we was niggas. Country and rap was crap. That's what they were saying. So all these white people talking about they cool, all of them, what's their names? Scooter Braun, buying up Taylor Swift stuff, trying to hire Jelly Roll. All of them said to my face that shit is crap, that they would never support niggas in rap music. Mm-hmm. Now their tune changed. But Michael Knight, he was the one. He set it off. He was the one going in the country bars, and he was too much like me, and they shut us down. Like LA got fired. He didn't get the deal. We didn't get the money. We meet with Monty Lipman. They didn't want to do it. But then what happened 6 months later? They dropped Lil Nas X. So they took our paperwork and proved that it was a viable product.
Wow.
They looked at our numbers. We did it on SoundScan. Look, SoundScan refused to count us. So I went up there. This is how much money the white boy got. We hired SoundScan computer dudes to create an app for us to count, because what we called the vans was mobile stores. So we turned our vans into mobile stores. They created an app so they could tell in real time how many records we were selling. We sold 30,000 records that week. They refused to publish it, shut it down, turned our app off, shut us down. That's how many records we sold that week. And I said, the industry, they not for us. They shut us down. I went and met with Billboard magazine and tried to get them to print our numbers. They refused. SoundScan said, all we do is report them to Billboard. We can't make Billboard report them. Here's the report. I got a report to say we sold 30,000 in 1 week. They put out Lil Nas X. And, then Naughty Nashville came and did a story about him. You could see it. He's still selling. Man he got a Bentley and a G-Wagon. He independent. He got a $1 million mansion in Florida. When I come down, that's where I'm staying. He got a guest house at his property that I stay at when I'm there. He can open up a country bar. Oh, I might not should say that yet. Because he don't
Didn't you say you were opening a bar when we first started?
A country bar in Florida.
Country bar. You're gonna be here, and you're gonna be here on Monday, right? And when we're hooking up and staying at the mansion, right?
I'll be there, and you are very welcome to come on. I'm gonna be there.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
I'll send a G-Wagon.
Hey man, and look, take a lot of pictures so we can put it on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
He got he owns a store, so he developed a clothing line, Maverick Clothing. He got a clothing line. He went to what is the big show in Vegas? Clothing.
Magic.
Went to Magic.
Magic.
Met a Pakistani distributor. So we get our clothes made in Pakistan and shipped to America.
Wow.
So he started an import-export company that I oversee. We import 20,000 jeans at a time. And that's not even a container load. We ain't made it to a container yet. We still splitting containers, but he imports clothing. He presses up his own CDs. He bought all the CD pressing equipment because everybody was getting rid of it. So he makes his own CDs. We make our own jeans, the t-shirts. And so he's still selling. You know, his thing was this. He told me we got a 10-year run after they stopped putting CD players in cars.
Right.
When he got there, he said they still put CD players in cars, so apparently people still need them. So he said CDs will be around till at least 10 years after that. And when you go into these rural America, they're not up on the streaming. They're not up on all that. They want to keep it simple. They buy CDs. Okay. So that's Michael Knight.
Well, brother, man, you got the record. 314. You got the record.
He got the record tonight, man. This is
what you doing? Hey, Tommy, brother, it was a pleasure because you're my brother, and I've known you for a long time, and we got so much history that we still hadn't even talked about.
Like we only made it to California. We didn't even make it to New York. You know, I did leave Warner Brothers and go to Arista, and then I started my own label.
And then you worked with Jill Scott. You did something with Jill Scott.
I did. I promoted. Who is Jill Scott? I promoted for that was Michael Jordan.
I put this right here for a reason. This right here.
Oh,
hey, that was a Michael Jordan release. You know, that was on Hidden Beach.
That's right. And autographed by Jill right there. Yes.
That's dope. The thing about that label, they had Michael Phillips. I promoted Mike Phillips.
That's right.
He was the first person to take hip hop records and turn them into jazz. That contemporary jazz records, and he took most of mine. He did Outkast, he did Biggie, you know, he did Tribe Called Quest. So he did
I got those records here.
Yes, so that was a good one. Hidden Beach. So I did Jill Scott, I did D'Angelo, I did Outkast, I did Goody Mob, I did
Brand Nubians, TLC, Tony Braxton, Donnell Jones, Tony Rich, Usher,
Michael Knight.
I'm reading them all.
Going.
Michael Knight. What's dude's name?
Puffy Locks, Black Rob, Wu-Tang.
DJ. I can't even remember DJ's name. Michael Knight, Jelly Roll, Cool Whip, DJ. These are the country rappers now. These dudes, they out flowing now. You can check them out. They out there right now.
Okay, so Tommy, let's make it clear. You're coming down here next week, and you're opening.
And I'm gonna hang out with a white boy who sued Facebook. We sued Facebook and won. It became one of the cases they point to because they was lying about him on the internet, saying that he was human trafficking. So
so you're coming down here, and we're hanging out with the guy at his mansion who sued Facebook. And you're opening a country bar, a club,
a venue. It's 2,000 people. It's a venue. We're not going with a bar.
Oh man, okay, man. I'm gonna help you market and promote that down here, man. Yeah, I'm hiring myself for the job.
He does line dancing. So he had one.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
He blew up because you can look it up. It's a record. His record is Michael Knight's record is.
That's your artist.
It became one of the biggest country line dances. Not Last Night in Texas, but man.
Let's see if my man can Google that one.
Michael Knight had a record, and I can't call the name of it, but it became a line dance sensation. They laughing at me because I can't remember.
It's funny, man. This been a good one.
Because you know the other great thing about Mike is he paid me as much as the majors did. So when you talk about this, and he paid me a lot of it in cash. Because
I asked him about it. I was like, y'all making money? He's like, let me tell you.
We making money for sure.
We making a lot of money.
They wouldn't print us in Billboard, so we bought a 2-page ad. I still got the magazine. We bought a 2-page ad in Billboard. Cost us 20 stacks. They wouldn't promote us, so we bought an ad.
Oh, hold on, Lo. So I said, so Tony, you in Nashville? He said, I got the boots and the cowboy hat and the big buckle.
I got it all. I went with the wardrobe.
You went with the wardrobe.
So Michael Knight to me is one of the top dudes that I work with because I really appreciate the fact that he grew hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I say Outkast, because Outkast took hip hop somewhere it wasn't. So when you talk about impact on the culture, they created a whole genre, a whole sound, and never looked back. When you look at Outkast, when you look at the Wu-Tang Clan, another record I promoted, they created a sound that's like no other. That was groundbreaking. When you look at Die, that was groundbreaking. Midnight Marauders. These are Turn of the Boom Bap. Like I worked the best of the best. Like when I name those, everybody I just named could be arguably in someone's top 10. On those
facts. Definitely. And most of those are still relevant today.
Yes.
And the music still bangs to this day.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, if you Google Michael Knight, the first thing to come up is he was sued for $20 million. Man, they returned a $20 million lawsuit against Michael Knight. Yes, I was there. But what's the record? The record has
Huck said put something about a line dance up. Whiskey drinking SOB.
Whiskey drinking SOB. Thank you.
My goodness. You know what? Shout out to my music industry folks that are watching us, that keep us in line when we're looking for stuff that we forget.
So the way he promoted that record was he had one of the top line dancers in Florida create a line dance. And then it was taught all over the country. So if you go online, you can see people in Japan and China doing his line dance.
Who taught the line dance? Do you know?
He hired a dude in Florida. Somehow one of the best line dance schools in Florida.
Okay, I don't know if I said the name, would you know it? Would you recognize it?
I might.
Have you heard Steppers in the Name of Life? Jamie Grant. Jamie Gant.
I just know that it's this white dude and he created the dance. And this line dance school started doing it, and then it took off. It blew up all over the world. So they still do his line dance, and it's to his song Whiskey Drinking. And that record just blew up. And it's like you know what it's like? It's like what is it? What's our song that everybody go to the dance floor and do those steps? The Wobble. His song is The Wobble in country
music.
So, and it's been that way.
So I gotta learn that dance before you get here, right?
Yeah, but look, from 2007 to today, it's still like blowing up. And that's when I knew the industry wasn't about paying people, because he had the #1 line dance. They proved we were selling records and making money. And the reason they didn't want to bring him in is because you can't control a dude like that. You see what I'm saying? So if all these people made the money that they professed to make, they wouldn't be as controllable. Look at Kanye. You know he made $1 billion. You can't shut him up. A dude like that, if you're not beholden to nobody, they can't make you stop talking. That's why Farrakhan say what he want to say. He not beholden to them.
That's right.
Listen to Puffy. If you listen to Jay-Z, if you listen to Rick Ross, they're not going to say things that could damage the brand because they don't own the brand.
Right.
If you own the brand, Kanye ain't care about the Yeezys. He said what he wanted to say because it's his. He could take a $453 million hit and not worry about it. That's how you know he really getting paper. He really about his business. And he came on there and said, they're going to take it from me. They saying I'm worth 400. I really say that's about 100 million. He said, but I'm good with that. And that's because so many of us won't open our mouths because we scared that massa going to take the spoon out. And then you can't eat. So if you can feed yourself, if you really got talent, if you can really feed yourself, then massa can't hurt you. He ain't stopped Kanye. If you really make music and you about it, the label don't make you. You make the label.
Hey, Fat Thomi, Eric and I are inviting you on a trip to go to Egypt.
Oh, yeah, that's we're going to Egypt.
We're going to Egypt in December, dog.
We got about 20 of us so far?
We got about 15.
Tell me you going next year, right?
No, this year, the end of this year.
End of December.
December 9th through the 17th.
You know,
we want to see the pyramids, player.
I would love to go with y'all on that trip, but my mother is turning 80.
Gotta do that.
No, she wants to go to Greece. And so I got
beautiful. Greece is beautiful.
I got a family that I got a daughter, 2 daughters, a son, and 2 grandkids that I got to take to Greece for 14 days. So all that money that I was talking about, those. If this was 1990, I put on my American Express and just do another trip. I don't have quite that much money anymore, so I can't. I promised my mom and my sisters that we all gonna go to Greece.
That's beautiful.
I'm saving all my money for my mother's 80th. But if you go the year after that,
it seems like it might be something I start to do every year. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make it there because my daughter Maya Hatshepsut Lavala and my son Jadedfree all have African names named after kings and queens. Hatshepsut being the first woman to become a king. That's who I named my daughter off, Maya, and she wants to be a judge. She's 13 years old. She sits. We take field trips to the courthouse. So
was that the same courthouse that?
Huh?
Was that the same courthouse that?
Which courthouse? I've been to a lot of them.
The one you saw the judge that I knew well.
Oh yes, that's her mentor. Her mentor is Judge Vanessa. Tell me her name, Eric.
Vanessa Wilson Jones.
Yes, that's O. E. Lee.
Friend. She married you. She married you.
I said O. E. Lee friend.
Okay.
That lady worked in the prosecutor's office with my mom, and invited my daughter to come to her courtroom. And we sat in there, and we at least every other month, my daughter sits in court for 5 hours and watches court and loves it. And then we have real conversations, 13, and we have real conversations. Yep, I got you, Huck. I'll let her know they in Miami right now. My mom and sisters are all in Miami right now. As a matter of fact, I got a niece that stay in Miami partying. I'm glad you in Miami because she always talking about going to the clubs and she hate when she don't get VIP. So I'm like, look,
it's rough. It's all based on who you know. But hey, man, you may want to come a little early because Jazz in the Gardens is Friday and Saturday. Jill is performing on Saturday.
I was supposed to come tomorrow. I was really supposed to come today. But because I was going to be in the air during this time, I couldn't come today. So then I was going to come tomorrow, but I have to be back by Tuesday because I have, I teach hip hop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay till Tuesday and then fly out Tuesday and do my exam Thursday because I'm going to just give them the exam.
You got to be the coolest teacher on the yard.
That's what they say that because, what they don't know is I'm about to work the honor system. I'm going to actually text them the exam and let them answer it to me over text while I'm in Florida on Saturday. I'm going to make them recite the honor code, and I'm going to literally text the exam to them, and they're going to send it back to me. So I know they're studying right now, and they don't know that I'm going to just ask them the answers via text.
So, boy, I swear. We got
to bring him back for another one. We got to bring him back for another.
Every week it gets better and better and better. And better.
Yeah. Well, wait, can I shout out a few people? I know
go ahead, man.
I gotta shout out my man Roots because he was by my side from day one. He took me up there to Magic City and parlayed that to us owning the club. We went in and did a show in the club, and thanks to his genius, we came out owning the club. So he been by my side from day one.
Roots.
I got to shout out my homeboy who knows he's my homeboy, and that's all I can shout out about him because that's my homeboy. So my dog know that he my dog, and I love him to death, and he down right now, but he know I got nothing but love for him. He'll be home in about 6 years.
Okay.
His name go without saying because I can't say it.
Right.
I got to shout out my man Dre, that's in Atlanta, my man GB Greg that's in Atlanta, of course my Outkast family, my Goody Mob family. I didn't even tell you how much me and Gip, I love Gip. I was in the back of a van with Gip when Outkast first came out before there was a Goody Mob, and he was telling me our album coming out, you wait and see. So that's why I really love them dudes, because those dudes remain the same dudes. Like I can't say that about everybody I came across in hip hop. So when people take from the South, it hurts me because the South, as much as I love New York, the South got some of the realest people and some of the stay down people that didn't fall victim to the record company, didn't sell their souls, and didn't do or give themselves up. Like Gip and them, they just rolled out without the money. They just said, you know, we're not doing all that.
Right.
So, you know, that was the South. You know, it was them that tried to hold that line. Everybody came after them. Just, you know, they did what they do. You know, a bag. I'm gonna say this one thing, and then we're gonna end it. But here's what I know about a bag. I watched a movie that was made in Africa, and the dude he was selling fake bags. And so he called dude in and he said, you know, you've been trying to get with me. You've been trying to get with me. You in here now, but here's the deal. It's 2 bags up there. You pick the right bag, you down. You pick the wrong bag, you go down, right? That's how he did them. So dude looks at the bags and he says, which one is real and which one is fake? And dude said, the one I got on my shoulder is real, so I don't care which one you give me. And I said, wow. The reason that's real is because of this. If I have a Gucci bag and I really got the swag, everybody think my Gucci is real. Because I got swag. I'm running around. You see me in the record. Come see. If I was a rapper, I wouldn't wear nothing real. Why would I? Because my swag says it's real. Anybody can flip the collar. You know, Biggie said, you say it's fake, bam, stay in your place. You know, that's the bag don't make you. You make the bag. So if a lame nigga come with a bag, the kid's gonna look at him and say, that ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could be the richest dude ever. If you see Rick Rubin with a Gucci bag, you're not gonna think it's real because Rick walking around in flip-flops with holy YMCA t-shirts and ripped jeans. So
and a beard down to here.
You think his junk is fake because he like a lame dude. But you take a dude with swag, he don't have to spend $5,000. He could spend $500, $100, and just carry it, and you believe it's real. And that's how the industry is. We believe those dudes is real. They ain't. They bootleg. They ain't the real dudes. If they was, they wouldn't let them pimp them out. They would say, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to dance on nobody's grave for a check. I'm not promoting death for a check. The bag, we are the bag. We the bag. The bag is inside you. When you make music, the music comes from you. No one can take that from you. No one can take that from you. It's an art form that you possess. So that right there should tell every artist that they have to be true and stay true to them and don't let money compromise their art. If money compromises your art, it's not art, brother. Picasso, all them painters, Kanye, he don't compromise his art for a check. It's art. It's you. If somebody tell you how to draw a painting, you ain't a painter. Right. If somebody tell you how to make your rap record, you ain't a rapper, bro. You're not an MC. We went from God MCs to dope MCs. What do I mean by that? We used to have the gods, and now we got the dopes, and they dopes. Not as in dope, they dope.
Step on it, brother. Step on it.
I'm gonna shout out my mayor, Sam Parham, my man Dominique Stroman, you know, 4 Deep, all them guys, my man Michael Knight, Suge Knight, his wife is Suge Knight. That's what they call her, Suge Knight. It's right, because you know why? Now she'll bust your ass. I don't know about them rappers, but I know Suge Knight, that girl right there will beat that ass. So them, the rappers, we need to get back to loving ourselves, promoting positivity, promoting life. Let's stop celebrating Biggie's death. Let's celebrate his birthday. Let's stop celebrating Tupac's death. Let's celebrate their birthday. We're
gonna bring you back on the birthdays.
Let's not speak on the dead no more. You know what I'm saying? Let's put
I'm with that.
Rest. Let's throw parties when people are born.
Yeah.
Let's throw parties. Let's come and bring, you know what? Instead of filling up the casket, let's fill up the baby basket. Let's have 2 baby beds where everybody come and put all kinds of money in it because they really need the money. Those parents, they need diapers. Let's show up at the baby showers and fill them up. We show up at caskets, putting bottles of liquor. You know, I saw a dude say they had to bury 2 caskets. The dudes brought so much junk. Y'all brought so much junk that you filling up 2 caskets. How ignorant is that? Let's celebrate life. Let's promote life. Let's get back to love. Hip hop was about the come up, not about pulling us down.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes.
How can people find you on social media? Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get. Hey, how we catch up with that dude?
Man, look.
He ain't on social media.
He ain't on.
I really ain't. Look. Anytime I never post stuff, but if you see it right there, Fat Thomi, the way it's spelled, if you spell it like that, you can find me anywhere. Of course, I'm never posting nothing on Instagram. My students say I should post more, so I'm about to have my students start posting more. I'm really focused on my book, and I noticed I was talking to the publisher. They want me to have a presence on the internet. So, they're going to drag me into social media, but I don't get on social media because the things I did in the 90s and even the way I promoted music, the saying that I used to say, if it's 3 people in the room, we not doing business. You know what I'm saying? We having fun because the business I do is only me and you. I can't have nobody else in the room because I said it didn't happen and he said it didn't happen. So it didn't happen. That third person ain't got nothing to do with it. For all y'all, that's how y'all get in trouble. Y'all have a person that ain't in the transaction at the transaction. Transaction need to be you and that person. Everybody else got nothing to do with it.
That's it.
Lo, how can they find you, my
Hey,
brother?
man, they can find me on Hot 105 on Saturday nights. That's where I'll be on Saturday night from 6 to 10 while Jazz in the Gardens is going on. And tomorrow, 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, you can hear me on Star 94.5 in Orlando. So I'm on a station in Orlando and a station in Miami. And you can find me on Twitter at Lorenzo Thomas and on IG at Lorenzo Ice T. And that's Lorenzo ICETEA.
Ballin', and you can catch me right there. You see it at Convo with the DJ on all platforms, talking about Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at Convo with the DJ. And we will be back next Thursday. Boy, I don't know who we're going to bring on that can top this show, but we're going to bring some folks on next Thursday for Conversations with the DJ. We do this each and every Thursday, usually from 8 to 9, but we had a lot of content tonight.
It's just 8 p.m. now. Forget
it's
the
just 8 p.m. now. Just check us out at 8 p.m. We kind of let it roll the way it rolls. And definitely check us out. We got to make this thing official right now. Tom, hang out for a second. And
thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys inviting me. Thank you very much.
Hang out for a second. We got to make this legal.